Archaeology tells us who built the ancient world, but it rarely explains how. Across continents, monumental stone structures reveal levels of precision scale and planning that still unsettle modern explanations. Massive blocks weighing tens, even hundreds of tons, were cut with astonishing accuracy, transported across extreme terrain, and assembled in ways that challenge modern engineering. These monuments were not placed at random. Their alignments follow the sun, the moon, and the stars. Their foundations rest on carefully chosen bedrock. Yet the civilizations behind them left no clear records, no blueprints, no tools, only silence. From remote mountain temples to stone cities carved into cliffs, one question remains: did ancient builders possess knowledge that history has forgotten? On the small island of Malta, nestled in the Mediterranean Sea, once a crossroads of many ancient civilizations, stands one of the strangest and most complex prehistoric monuments ever discovered by humanity: the Tarxien temples. With an estimated age of over 5,000 years older than both the Great Pyramid of Giza and Stonehenge, Tarxien astonishes not only because of its scale and construction techniques, but also because of one lingering question that remains unsolved. What were these temples truly built for? What do you think these temples were really used for: rituals, astronomy, or something else entirely? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your theories. The Tarxien temples were first uncovered in 1914 by a local farmer whose plows struck something solid beneath his field. What began as a simple agricultural discovery soon escalated into one of Europe's most significant archaeological sites. Over time, experts revealed a sprawling megalithic complex composed of 4 interconnected stone temples. These structures weren't built all at once. They were constructed in stages between approximately 3150 and 2500 BCE. Even more astonishing than their age is their sophistication. Despite the island's isolation and lack of metal tools, the builders managed to maneuver and fit multi-ton stone blocks together with incredible precision, all without the use of mortar. The walls curve gracefully, with surfaces decorated in spirals and patterns that suggest deeper, symbolic meaning. The architectural choices reflect not only technical prowess, but also a powerful sense of purpose. What belief system or cultural drive could have compelled these prehistoric people to commit generations to building something so massive, so refined, and still so mysterious? One of the earliest and most widely supported theories suggests that the Tarxien temple complex served a religious or ritualistic purpose. This assumption is based on artifacts discovered within the temples, most notably the lower half of a giant female statue nearly 2 meters tall, featuring a rounded belly and wide hips, characteristics commonly seen in fertility symbols across many prehistoric cultures. Many scholars interpret this figure as a representation of the mother goddess, symbolizing fertility, rebirth, and the cycles of nature. Furthermore, the presence of numerous small niches and side chambers believed to have been used for offerings or even animal sacrifices strengthens the argument that the site once functioned as a sacred ceremonial space. If this interpretation is correct, it implies that the ancient Maltese people possessed a highly developed belief system where deities were deeply intertwined with nature, reproduction, and the cosmic rhythm of life. However, there's something unusual about the layout. Tarxien does not resemble classical temples. It lacks a central altar, communal gathering spaces, or clear focal points. Instead, it features alternating narrow and wide corridors, giving the impression of a ritual labyrinth rather than a place of worship. Moreover, the large decorated stones, adorned with spiral motifs, animal carvings, and geometric shapes, do not serve clear narrative or illustrative purposes. They appear more like codes or symbols hinting at deeper, perhaps esoteric meanings. In addition to the religious hypothesis, some modern researchers suggest that Tarxien may have been constructed for astronomical purposes. They point out that the arrangement of doorways, pathways, and standing stones within the temple seems far from random and may have been intentionally designed to capture sunlight during specific times of the year, such as the winter and summer solstices. This idea recalls monuments like Newgrange in Ireland, where the phenomenon of sunlight entering the heart of the temple on the winter solstice has been proven to be deliberate. If Tarxien follows this same tradition, it may once have been part of a ritual or agricultural calendar where light and shadow served as cosmic signals, guiding the prehistoric people's survival and spiritual practices. Yet the challenge remains: there is no conclusive evidence supporting any theory. The statues are fragmentary, the symbols indecipherable. Crucially, no form of writing has ever been found at Tarxien, leaving no clues about the worldview beliefs or cosmology of its builders. This absence of a written record means every interpretation remains a hypothesis. We do not know how these people perceived the heavens, what they believed about death or divinity, or how they related to nature. This makes Tarxien a living mystery, where every carved line and stone arrangement could carry multiple layers of unknown meaning. A modern perspective suggests that Tarxien was not merely a temple, but possibly a multifunctional complex, a place for religious ceremonies, a center for preserving indigenous knowledge, and at the same time, a primitive observatory for tracking the seasons and celestial movements. This view reflects a common mindset. In prehistoric times, astronomy and spirituality were inseparable. Cosmic phenomena such as eclipses, solar cycles, or stars were often deified, forming the foundation of rituals and understandings of life. In that worldview, Tarxien may be seen as a physical manifestation of ancient cosmic order, a sacred space where people of the time connected with the heavens through each stone, each beam of sunlight, and every symbol-laden ritual. Further complicating matters is Tarxien's multi-layered timeline. The complex was not built all at once, but expanded, altered, and possibly even partially destroyed over several centuries. Some stones show signs of burning, others appear relocated or restructured. This makes it difficult for archaeologists to determine which parts are original and which are later modifications. Meanwhile, the broader context of Malta's prehistoric society remains largely unknown: where they came from, how they lived, and why their civilization vanished. It's hard not to wonder, why was such a sophisticated structure like Tarxien built on a small and isolated island like Malta? The island lacks abundant natural resources and wasn't located along major prehistoric trade routes. This absence of favorable conditions makes the idea that it was merely a local gathering place seem increasingly unconvincing. Instead, many scholars propose that Tarxien may once have served as a regional spiritual or cultural center, attracting pilgrims, ritual groups, and even keepers of knowledge from across the Mediterranean. Much like other sacred sites that transcend geography, Tarxien appears to carry a sacred magnetism, one not based on location, but on a spiritual value that resonates far beyond its time. At its peak, Tarxien may have embodied multiple layers of meaning: a holy sanctuary, a cosmic instrument, a stage for rituals, and a monument to symbolic power. But when Malta's megalithic culture collapsed, perhaps due to drought, migration, or other unknown causes, all that remained were stones, carvings, and enigma. Today, stepping into Tarxien is not just entering an ancient ruin, it is stepping into a labyrinth of silent symbols, where massive stones continue to guard their secrets. The questions still echo: who built these temples? What did they believe? How did they observe the heavens? And most importantly, what is Tarxien really? A temple, an observatory, or a portal into a forgotten spiritual realm? There are no definitive answers, and perhaps that is precisely what makes Tarxien so captivating to the modern imagination, a mystery that endures, written in stone but spoken in silence. On the steep cliffs along the southern coast of Turkey, where the Mediterranean sun slices through the ancient cracks in stone, hundreds of ancient rock-cut tombs still stand defiantly as if carved by the hands of gods. These are the Lycian rock tombs, mysterious legacies of the once flourishing Lycian civilization, which now serve as a symbol of one of the greatest enigmas in engineering, artistry, and spirituality that remains unsolved. Among the countless questions posed by the archaeological world, how ancient people carved tombs directly into sheer cliffs in nearly inaccessible locations stands out as a breathtaking mystery that has captivated researchers for generations. What do you think? How do you believe the ancient Lycians managed to carve tombs into such impossible cliffs? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your theory. Imagine yourself standing at the base of a sheer cliff dozens of meters high, where the rock surface is jagged, nearly vertical, and offers no secure footing. Yet above you, stone tombs appear like tiny houses suspended in mid-air, clinging tightly to the mountainside as if they had grown from the rock itself. Strangely, they were not built with bricks or assembled from separate stones like many other ancient structures. They were carved directly from the solid bedrock of the cliff face. There are no visible traces of scaffolding, no access paths, no architectural plans, and certainly no written records describing the construction process. And yet hundreds of such tombs still remain scattered across the ancient region of Lycia, from Myra to Fethia, from Dalian to Tel Messos, standing as a deeply puzzling challenge to modern science. The question that most baffles archaeologists is this: how did ancient builders access such dangerous locations? And how were they able to carve with such precision, symmetry, and artistic detail? Some theories suggest they used temporary wooden scaffolds or rope ladders, but this raises numerous issues around stability, safety, and control while working at such heights. Moreover, the act of lifting tools, extracting stone, and shaping fine details without making a mistake, all on a vertical cliff face, is beyond what most people can imagine. What makes it even more mysterious is that many of the tombs are not only high up, but also completely unreachable by any natural path. There are no stairs, no trail remnants, no evidence of passage from behind the cliffs. It's as if these tombs were somehow embedded into the mountainside, using a technique that has since been lost to history. In a time without mechanical technology, relying only on hammers, chisels, and ropes, constructing something so complex seems nearly impossible. And it is this very sense of impossibility that raises an even deeper question. Could the Lycians have possessed some ancient construction method that we have never discovered? A technical secret buried by time, leaving behind these majestic sky-high monuments carved into stone, which modern humans can only gaze upon with awe. Unlike cultures that buried their dead underground, the Lycians believed that souls needed to be carried into the sky. They imagined mythical birds, especially eagles, transporting the souls from the high tombs to the next world. The higher the tomb, the closer to the heavens, and the more sacred the location. For this reason, they deliberately chose inaccessible vertical cliffs to honor the dead and protect the resting places from the living. The tombs were often crafted with facades resembling traditional Lycian houses, complete with triangular roofs, columns, and entryways, mimicking the homes of the deceased. These were not damp underground crypts, but new homes for the soul in the eternal afterlife. Every line and ornament held symbolic meaning, reflecting not only artistic vision, but a complex spiritual worldview. Because they were carved in nearly unreachable places, most Lycian tombs remain remarkably intact. Despite thousands of years of wind earthquakes and conflict, they escaped looters and vandals, unintentionally protected by nature's own defenses. Some tombs, like those at the ancient city of Myra, form entire cliffside walls filled with tomb windows, resembling a giant stone beehive clinging to the mountain. Among the most iconic are the tombs in Lycian, which resemble miniature Greek temples, complete with Doric columns and triangular pediments, all carved from the cliff itself. They reveal an unmatched mastery of stone carving and symmetry achieved without modern tools or measuring equipment. To this day, archaeologists have not been able to accurately reconstruct how the Lycians carved tombs into such perilous cliff faces. One theory suggests that they began at the top of the cliff and worked their way downward to prevent falling debris from damaging completed sections. Others believe they may have tunneled from behind the mountain and opened the facade from within. However, each theory has its flaws and cannot account for all tomb locations. The deeper researchers dig into the question, the more they wonder, did the ancients possess a lost construction technique, an ancient engineering secret that no one has yet uncovered? The presence of numerous Lycian inscriptions around these tombs, written in a language still not fully deciphered, only adds to the mystery. It's possible that within those undeciphered lines lies the key to unlocking one of the greatest feats of the ancient world. Although they are called tombs, many researchers believe that some structures within the Lycian rock tomb system may have served as temples or religious ceremonial centers rather than simply burial sites. This is especially likely for tomb clusters located near ancient urban centers or featuring complex, symbol-rich designs. It's highly possible that these sites once hosted rituals related to death, spiritual transcendence, and the soul's journey to the afterlife, reflecting the deep spiritual beliefs of the Lycian people. Lycian rock tombs are more than mere burial chambers. They are stone records of a vanished civilization, echoing spiritual beliefs, artistic vision, and mysteries still beyond modern understanding. The silence of stone, combined with their suspended location in the sky, creates an almost surreal sensation, as if these sites belong to a realm beyond human history. The Lycian rock tombs stand as a testament to ancient ingenuity and spiritual depth. More importantly, they remind us that not all great achievements require steel concrete or machines. Some wonders were created through faith, patience, and a deep connection to the natural world. Even today, the question of how they were carved into sheer rock faces remains one of archaeology's most enduring unsolved mysteries. And perhaps that's exactly what makes them so beautiful and so haunting. High above the clouds, where cliffs plunge into the abyss and the wind sings of forgotten gods, stands a temple so daring in design, so bold in its location, that modern engineers still marvel at its creation. This is Preah Vihear, not just a sacred site, but a triumph of ancient ingenuity. Carved atop a mountain over 500 meters high, with no machines, no cranes, and no modern tools, it defies everything we thought we knew about the limits of ancient architecture. Preah Vihear isn't just a temple, it's proof that the ancients reached for the sky and succeeded. What do you think could ancient builders have known more than we give them credit for? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your theory. It wasn't the ornate architecture or the temple's 1,000-year age that stunned the world. It was where Preah Vihear was built. Unlike many Khmer structures erected on flat, accessible land, this temple clings precariously to a steep cliff more than 500 meters above the Cambodian plains. It stands atop the Dangrek Mountains, a treacherous terrain of sharp slopes, jagged rocks, dense forests, and relentless winds. In such conditions, how did ancient builders transport multi-ton stone blocks to the summit? How did they cut and assemble hundreds of thousands of stone pieces without cement, steel, or precise measurement tools? Despite the efforts of archaeologists to decode this mystery, no clear answer has yet emerged. What remains is a profound question, one that challenges our assumptions about human strength, determination, and knowledge far beyond their time. One of the most unique and challenging aspects of Preah Vihear Temple's design lies in its longitudinal layout, stretching along a north-south axis on the steep slope of the Dungrek Mountains. Unlike most famous Angkor temples, which follow square or rectangular floor plans on flat ground, Preah Vihear rises continuously uphill, built in 5 successive architectural levels. Each level contains a temple gate, a courtyard, and a sanctuary extending over a total distance of more than 800 meters. Yet this isn't merely a spatial arrangement, it reflects a profound engineering mindset, deeply intertwined with Hindu religious philosophy. The ascending path to the temple's summit symbolizes a spiritual journey of the soul, rising from the earthly realm toward Lord Shiva atop the sacred Mount Kailash. To bring this unique structure to life, ancient Khmer architects had to masterfully adapt to the mountain's natural slope. They designed the foundations as stepped terraces, creating seamless stone platform stairways and connecting walkways, all while ensuring the entire structure remained balanced and stable. The precision required to manage pressure-weight distribution and structural integrity across thousands of irregular stone blocks is so advanced that even modern engineers remain astonished upon inspection. Preah Vihear is truly a construction where faith, intellect, and engineering excellence converge far ahead of its time. One of the most astonishing feats at Preah Vihear Temple doesn't lie in its height, but in how ancient builders transported massive stone blocks up a mountain and assembled them with near-perfect precision, all without the use of modern adhesives. The sandstone blocks used to construct the temple could weigh anywhere from several hundred kilograms to multiple tons. Remarkably, these stones did not naturally occur at the summit of the Dungrek Mountains. Scholars believe that most of the material was quarried from the mountain's base or nearby areas, then hauled more than 500 meters uphill, using entirely manual methods, relying on human strength elephants and basic dragging tools. There were no trucks, no mechanical pulleys, and certainly no cranes or precision measuring devices. Yet each block made it to the top carved with uncanny accuracy and fitted together without any mortar or binding agent. Many joints remain intact to this day, having withstood centuries of storms and weathering. Archaeologists suggest that ancient builders applied advanced engineering principles such as mortise and tenon joints, locking grooves, and may have even possessed a sophisticated understanding of gravitational distribution. In some areas, the stones were arranged using a gravity cross-lock method, allowing the sheer weight of the stones to lock them tightly in place. It's a technique that far exceeds what most assume about the capabilities of that era. One of the clearest proofs of Preah Vihear Temple's advanced engineering lies in its extraordinary durability against the tests of time and nature. For over 1,000 years, this monument has not only withstood the erosion of sun and rain, but has also survived numerous earthquakes in the Dungrek Mountain region, an area known for its geological instability. While many other ancient structures have partially collapsed or suffered severe damage over the centuries, the core architecture of Preah Vihear remains remarkably intact. This is no coincidence. It reflects a deep understanding by ancient Khmer engineers of key factors such as lateral pressure, thermal expansion, compression across sloped terrain, and gravitational dispersion. The intelligently designed inclined surfaces, the terraced foundation system, and especially the use of massive monolithic stones all contributed to a structural system capable of self-balancing and withstanding intense natural forces. Preah Vihear is not just a religious monument. It is a technical marvel resilient against the harshness of both time and the earth itself. Hidden within every corner of Preah Vihear Temple are technical details that continue to puzzle and intrigue researchers. Many corridors lead to sealed-off areas or abruptly end at blank stone walls, giving the impression that there may once have been underground passages ceremonial routes, or even intentionally concealed secret chambers. Some of these hallways appear to serve no practical function, for movements suggesting they may have been symbolic, perhaps designed for rituals that have long since been lost to history. Moreover, the bas-reliefs and carved symbols found on columns, archways, and stone walls pose even more questions. The intricate detail in the Hindu motifs and the sharp precision of each carving indicate a remarkably high level of craftsmanship, so refined that it seems implausible if only primitive iron tools were used. Some of the symbols do not match any known ancient script, raising the possibility of an uncracked ceremonial code or religious system of symbols. Some scholars have even proposed that Preah Vihear may have served as a testing ground for new architectural techniques during the height of the Khmer Empire, possibly surpassing even Angkor Wat in its adaptability to rugged terrain and creative construction methods. When people think of Preah Vihear, they often see a sacred temple dedicated to Lord Shiva and Hindu spirituality. But beneath that spiritual layer lies an entire archive of engineering brilliance, where every stair-stone face and sweeping corridor was deliberately calculated to harmonize nature belief and construction. This is not just a national treasure of Cambodia, it is a monument to ancient human ingenuity, organization, and knowledge that defied its age. In a world where we often judge the past by today's technological standards, Preah Vihear stands as a humbling reminder. Perhaps ancient civilizations understood physics, compression, and geology far better than we ever imagined. Hidden amidst the majestic red sandstone cliffs of Sichuan Province, China, the Leshan giant Buddha is not only one of humanity's greatest sculptural marvels, but also an eternal source of inspiration for those eager to explore history, spirituality, and ancient engineering mysteries. Standing at 71 meters tall, with shoulders nearly 28 meters wide, this colossal work is the largest stone Buddha in the world, a staggering achievement that far exceeds the known technical limits of any civilization from the 8th century. Yet what makes the Leshan Buddha truly mysterious isn't just its size or aesthetics, but the seemingly simple question: how did ancient builders create such a massive stone statue, able to endure more than 12 centuries, using materials and techniques we still don't fully understand? What do you think the ancient builders of Leshan knew that we've lost today? Share your theory in the comments. We're curious to hear your thoughts. The Leshan giant Buddha was carved directly into a red sandstone cliff at the confluence of 3 major rivers, a location where fierce currents and year-round rain could easily erode even modern structures. And yet for more than 12 centuries, this colossal statue has stood tall, with its carvings remarkably intact. This has led researchers to ask a pressing question: did the ancient builders use a now-lost stone treatment technique, or is this the result of a unique combination of geological conditions and undocumented reinforcement methods? Recent surveys have revealed that within the statue's structure are layers of stone with different properties. Some soft and porous, allowing moisture to escape; others dense and strong, built to bear weight. This deliberate distribution does not match natural rock formations, raising suspicions that Tang Dynasty artisans might have used man-made reinforcement materials or at least applied protective treatments to the stone. However, no surviving historical records mention such techniques, deepening the mystery even further. During a survey of the cracks on the surface of the Leshan giant Buddha, Chinese engineers discovered a strange substance lodged between layers of stone, a dark-colored adhesive with remarkable flexibility and water resistance. However, what puzzled researchers was that initial chemical analyses failed to identify its exact composition, as the sample had been oxidized and altered over time. Some theories suggest it could be processed plant resin, or a type of mineral compound used by ancient builders to reinforce cracks and improve structural durability. Yet to this day, no precise formula has been reproduced or officially disclosed. What makes this material even more mysterious is that it has never been found in any other stone statue or Buddhist construction from the same era, regardless of size. Could this be the result of a now lost local technique, or perhaps a closely guarded craft secret passed down orally among master artisans, never documented in written records? These questions remain unanswered. One of the key factors behind the Leshan giant Buddha's resilience for over a millennium is its sophisticated internal drainage system. Hidden within the statue's hair collar, chest and back are narrow channels that redirect rainwater away from the surface, keeping it dry and significantly reducing erosion from wind and rain. Remarkably, this system has remained highly effective for more than 12 centuries without the need for modern maintenance, a feat even many contemporary structures struggle to achieve. What's even more astonishing is how did Tang dynasty artisans determine the precise position and slope of each drainage groove, ensuring that water wouldn't pool in deep recesses? No technical blueprints have survived. There's no evidence they possessed fluid modeling tools or advanced measuring equipment. The most plausible explanation is that they relied on generations of environmental observation combined with a kind of engineering intuition, far ahead of its time, a silent knowledge that has largely faded from memory today. Some geologists suggest the Buddha may not be entirely carved from a single block of natural stone, but reinforced with man-made materials or special hollow sections. Mysterious voids deep inside the statue, disconnected from drainage paths, suggest the existence of technical chambers, possibly used for inspection repairs or internal stabilization. These inner passages remain largely unexplored, as structural integrity concerns limit invasive research. However, early three-dimensional scans revealed unusual cavities inside the chest and thighs, possibly artificial features rather than natural formations. One of the greatest mysteries surrounding the Leshan giant Buddha lies in the tool marks left on its stone surface. Although the statue was constructed during the Tang dynasty, a period when artisans primarily used simple iron chisels and hammers, many of its features display extraordinary precision, straight, evenly spaced grooves, some reaching meters deep, that far exceed what such primitive tools should be capable of. Notably, the facial features, elongated earlobes, and intricately carved braided hair all demonstrate a level of highly refined control. Some theories suggest the statue was created by hundreds of skilled stonemasons working in layers and using massive scaffolding. However, the presence of these precise cuts has led many experts to suspect that specialized techniques may have been used, such as force-assisted stone, sliding thermal splitting, or even lost advanced tools. Yet to this day, no concrete evidence has been found to confirm that such methods existed in that era. Official history states the project began in year 713, led by a monk named Haitong, and took nearly 90 years to complete. However, since the Buddha was only finished after Haitong's death, it raises a key question. Was the sculpting technique secretly passed between generations of artisans, or did a hidden group exist, dedicated to building sacred projects of massive scale? Some scholars propose that Leshan may have once hosted a now-forgotten Buddhist sect or lineage of master builders whose techniques were deliberately kept out of historical records due to their sacred or proprietary nature. Today, the Leshan giant Buddha is recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, drawing in millions of visitors each year. Yet behind its majestic and awe-inspiring appearance lies a series of mysteries that modern science has yet to fully unravel. What is the strange bonding material found in the statue's cracks? Why hasn't it been discovered in any other structure from the same era? How were the deep and precise cuts made given the limited tools available during the Tang dynasty? And could there be hidden technical chambers inside the statue that remain unexplored? Even with today's technology, including 3D scanning, structural analysis, and fluid simulations, all explanations remain speculative. Perhaps what has allowed this monument to endure through the centuries is not just engineering, but a profound combination of intuition, traditional knowledge, and thinking far ahead of its time, a kind of ancient wisdom that even modern machines may never fully comprehend. Perched on windswept cliffs overlooking the vast Baltic Sea in southern Sweden, Ailes Stones, also known as Alistenar, is far from being just an ancient stone structure. It stands as a symbol of what our ancestors left behind, that we have yet to understand, a giant question mark embedded in the heart of Scandinavian history, where all theories about its purpose remain nothing more than speculation. In a world where modern science can launch rockets into space and analyze ancient DNA, Ailes Stones remains motionless, yet unforgettable, as if it waits for someone to finally decipher the message left by those who lived thousands of years ago. What do you think Ailes Stones was really built for? Share your theory in the comments below. We're curious to hear your thoughts. Ailes Stones consists of 59 large standing stones arranged in the shape of a ship, approximately 67 meters long and 19 meters wide, a familiar image in ancient Nordic culture where death was seen as a sea voyage to the afterlife. But unlike other stone ships that have been discovered with human remains or grave goods, Ailes Stones is completely empty. There are no bones, no artifacts, no clear signs indicating it was a burial site. This has sparked much debate. Perhaps this is not a tomb, but instead a ritual site, an ancient observatory, or even a kind of stone calendar to track celestial phenomena. One of the greatest mysteries surrounding Ailes Stones lies in its conflicting dating, which makes the monument even harder to understand. According to traditional archaeological estimates, Ailes Stones was constructed around 500 AD during the late migration period in Europe. However, radiocarbon testing of charcoal samples found at the site suggests that some materials buried deep underground may date back to approximately 1400 BC, placing them in the Bronze Age more than 1,000 years earlier than commonly believed. This raises numerous questions. Was the current Ailes Stones structure built atop a much older foundation? Or is it a reconstruction or adaptation of a sacred site that existed thousands of years prior? Due to a lack of comprehensive archaeological data, these hypotheses remain speculative. It is also possible that the location was used and reused by multiple cultures over time, each adding its own layer of meaning, turning the site into a multi-layered, symbolic monument, making it increasingly difficult to determine who originally built it. One of the most intriguing hypotheses about Ailes Stones suggests that the structure was designed in alignment with astronomical phenomena, particularly the sunrise and sunset during the summer and winter solstices. The two ends of the stone ship appear to be precisely oriented toward the horizon, where the sun rises and sets at these pivotal times of the year. This has led scholars to propose that Ailes Stones might have functioned as a time-tracking instrument used to mark seasonal cycles, aid in agricultural planning, or serve solar worship rituals, practices commonly found in many ancient civilizations. If this theory is accurate, then Ailes Stones is not merely a memorial, it could be a massive stone calendar, reflecting an advanced understanding of nature and the cosmos among prehistoric people. Yet even this explanation leaves many questions unanswered. Why exactly 59 stones instead of a more symmetrical or easily interpreted number? Why build it atop a coastal cliff rather than a flat, accessible area inland. And if seasonal ceremonies truly took place here, why has no definitive archaeological evidence ever been found? These lingering mysteries only deepen the enigma that surrounds Aile's stones. What makes Aile's stones one of the most mysterious megalithic sites in Scandinavia is that no single theory has gained wide acceptance. Every interpretation has its merits, yet lacks solid proof. Questions about the layout, alignment, dating, and ceremonial meaning make Aile's stones feel like a torn ancient manuscript missing its first half, leaving readers mesmerized but unable to grasp the full story. Scholars are cautious in drawing conclusions, partly because archaeological data from the site remains limited, largely due to its remote coastal location and the absence of large-scale excavations like those conducted at Stonehenge or Karnak. This gap has opened the door to a range of theories, both scientific and mystical, from astronomical observatories and stone calendars to warrior tombs or places of contact with supernatural entities. In Swedish folklore, Aile's stones is linked to legends of giants, King Aile, or long-lost warriors. Some tales suggest it was built to ward off demons from the sea, while others believe it was a place where the spirits of ancient people communicated with their ancestors. Although unverifiable, these stories reflect a sacred and respectful view of the site held by the local people, making Aile's stones not only an archaeological landmark, but also a living cultural symbol. Aile's stones is often compared to other famous megalithic structures, such as Stonehenge in England, Karnak in France, or the stone ships found in Norway and Denmark. However, it is precisely the differences in shape arrangement and geographical location that give Aile's stones a distinctive identity. Positioned on a high cliff overlooking the Baltic Sea, this monument appears to serve not only ceremonial or astronomical purposes, but also represents an independent form of local thinking, possibly stemming from a little-known ancient culture. The existence of Aile's stones not only broadens the prehistoric archaeological map of Europe, but also emphasizes that not all ancient stone structures follow a fixed pattern. Each site might hold a unique key to unlocking a larger story about the intellectual and spiritual evolution of humanity. What keeps the mystery of Aile's stones unsolved to this day stems from a combination of closely intertwined factors. First and foremost, there are no surviving texts, legends, or written records from the time the monument was constructed to explain its true purpose. The silence of written history leaves researchers relying solely on physical evidence, something that can be easily misinterpreted. In addition, its coastal location poses major challenges for excavation due to harsh weather, difficult terrain, and soil erosion over thousands of years. Furthermore, the landscape surrounding Aile's stones may have changed multiple times, erasing the original context of the monument, a critical element in understanding its intended function. But perhaps most importantly, we may be trying to interpret this ancient site using modern thinking that doesn't align with the symbolic systems of the past. The builders of Aile's stones might have followed sacred logic's natural cycles or philosophies that we no longer understand. This fundamental difference in mindset means that every theory we propose might be partly right, but just as easily wrong. And so each step toward an answer seems only to open more questions. Perhaps it is precisely this lack of definitive answers that makes Aile's stones so captivating. In an era increasingly dominated by data precision and explanation, the presence of an ancient silent monument that defies modern understanding serves as a powerful reminder humans don't always have the answers. And maybe in that silence, in the gaps and uncertainties, Aile's stones becomes more than just stone. It becomes a living legacy of wonder, curiosity, and the humility to accept that some things from the past still lie just beyond our reach. Located in the middle of the Valdecañas Reservoir in Extremadura, Spain, the Dolmen of Guadalperal is one of the most mysterious ancient structures in Europe, not only because of its millennia-old age, but also due to its elusive appearance and disappearance beneath the water and the countless unanswered questions about its true purpose. Often dubbed the Spanish Stonehenge, this megalithic monument carries with it enigmas yet to be unraveled, especially regarding its role in the spiritual, religious, and possibly astronomical lives of ancient communities that once thrived on the Iberian Peninsula. So what do you think the Dolmen of Guadalperal was really used for? A tomb, a ritual center, or an ancient observatory? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your theory. The structure of the Dolmen of Guadalperal includes more than 100 large standing stones, orthostats, arranged in an oval shape, leading into a central chamber, believed to be the core of the monument. Many of these stones are between 1 and 2 meters tall, with some engraved with ancient patterns or symbols. The symmetrical arrangement of these stones suggests deliberate planning, an astonishing feat given the technological limitations of the Neolithic era. Estimates place the construction of the dolmen between 5000 and 2000 BCE during the Neolithic or early Bronze Age. This was a time of profound transformation in human life, shifting from hunting and gathering to permanent settlement, agriculture, community building, and the emergence of the first cultural symbols. In this context, the creation of a large megalithic monument like Guadalperal is not only a testament to the organizational strength of ancient societies, but also raises fundamental questions about the purpose they envisioned for such a creation. The most debated issue today is the true function of the Dolmen of Guadalperal. Archaeologists and historians have proposed several theories, yet none have been fully confirmed. There are 3 main interpretations, and each opens up deep insights into the culture, thought, and astronomical understanding of ancient humanity. One of the most widely accepted theories about the function of the Dolmen of Guadalperal is that it once served as a collective burial site for an ancient community. The monument's structure, with a curved corridor leading into a central chamber formed by hundreds of standing stones, bears strong resemblance to other dolmens across Europe, which were commonly used for interring the dead along with grave goods. At sites like Newgrange in Ireland or various dolmens in France and Britain, archaeologists have uncovered human remains buried over many generations. These findings suggest that such structures were not just tombs, but sacred spaces preserved and respected by communities over centuries. If this theory holds true for Guadalperal, it would point to a clear belief system about the afterlife and a highly organized society capable of maintaining sacred spaces across generations. However, a major obstacle to this theory is the lack of physical evidence. During excavations carried out before the area was flooded, in 1963, archaeologists did not discover any significant human remains or funerary artifacts. This absence of material evidence weakens the burial theory unless all traces were lost to water and erosion over time. Alternatively, it may suggest that the monument held a deeper spiritual significance beyond merely serving as a resting place for the dead. One increasingly popular theory is that the Dolmen of Guadalperal may have once served as a ritual center, a place where communal activities related to belief systems, religious ceremonies, or ancient social rites were held. The spatial design of the monument strongly supports this idea. A clearly defined entrance leads through a narrow passage into a wider central chamber, suggesting a deliberately inward-facing and symbolic layout rather than simply a tomb. In a context where writing did not yet exist and formal religions had not been established, building sacred spaces like this was a way for ancient communities to connect with unseen forces such as their ancestors' deities or the natural cycles of seasons and the sun. Moreover, the Dolmen of Guadalperal is situated on elevated terrain with open views of the surrounding landscape, an ideal setting for a sacred gathering place where people could gaze at the sky and nature while conducting ceremonies tied to the cosmos. Additionally, the enclosed structure with its narrow corridor and low ceiling might have created unique acoustic effects, possibly used during chanting sacred songs or communal storytelling. From all these elements, it becomes clear that the dolmen was more than just a collection of stones. It may have once been a spiritual heart of an ancient community where people sought deep connection with the invisible world around them. One of the most fascinating and controversial theories about the Dolmen of Guadalperal is that it may have once functioned as a primitive astronomical observatory, a deliberately designed structure to mark natural phenomena such as the summer solstice, winter solstice, or the movements of the sun and moon. While this may sound extraordinary, the theory is not far-fetched within the field of archaeology, as many other ancient structures across Europe, such as Newgrange in Ireland or Stonehenge in England, have been proven to align precisely with seasonal celestial events. At the Dolmen of Guadalperal, researchers have observed that the entrance of the monument faces directly east, where the sun rises. This points to a remarkable possibility on the summer solstice, the longest day of the year. The first rays of sunlight could shine directly along the corridor through the entrance and into the central chamber, creating a dramatic effect of light that may have held ritualistic or even sacred meaning. With this phenomenon, the dolmen appears to have been designed as a gateway of light, a symbolic point where humans could connect with the cosmos, not only through belief, but also through early observational understanding. If this theory is true, then the Dolmen of Guadalperal was not only a ceremonial site, but also an ancient timekeeping device. In an era before calendars and clocks, the ability to identify seasonal transitions, lunar cycles, or important celestial events was not only spiritually meaningful, but crucial for survival, helping people plan farming, hunting, food storage, and affirm their belief in the cosmic order. In a world where science and spirituality were not yet separate concepts, such monuments became the meeting point of both serving as sacred spaces and reflections of early intellectual engagement with the natural world. This makes the Dolmen of Guadalperal a unique testament to the early development of scientific thinking, hidden in the sacred form of a prehistoric monument. In addition to the eastward-facing entrance, a key element supporting the astronomical theory, another significant detail strengthening this idea is the presence of a large stone slab engraved with mysterious patterns. Many researchers believe this may be a primitive map depicting the nearby Tagus River region. The winding, serpentine carvings on the stone surface could represent rivers, hills, or other important natural landmarks in the area. If this interpretation is accurate, it indicates that the ancient community here possessed a symbolic understanding of their environment, with the ability to represent the physical world through imagery, a major cognitive leap in human development. In many ancient cultures, understanding the position of natural elements such as the sun, rivers, or sacred mountains played a vital role in ritual practices, burials, and agricultural planning. Therefore, the possibility that the Dolmen of Guadalperal functioned simultaneously as a ceremonial center, an astronomical tool, and even a form of ancient map is not only plausible, but also reveals the remarkable complexity of thought and knowledge among Neolithic peoples. What makes the Dolmen of Guadalperal so extraordinary is not just its age or its haunting beauty when it emerges from the water, but the profound ambiguity surrounding its original function. This very uncertainty turns the monument into a symbol of how much modern humans have yet to understand about their ancestors. Could they have known far more than we assume? Could those silent stones encode an entire worldview a blend of belief, early science, and collective memory. The question of the dolmen's true purpose, tomb ritual center, or observatory remains open and is likely to fuel scholarly debate for years to come. But one thing is certain: each time the dolmen rises from the receding waters, the past resurfaces, with it reminding us of the complexity, wonder, and enduring mysteries of human history. Nestled deep within the dense tropical forests and lush valleys of Quang Nam Province, Vietnam, my son's sanctuary stands not only as one of the largest and most significant Cham temple complexes still remaining, but also as a place harboring technical mysteries that continue to baffle modern scientists. Despite enduring thousands of years of history wars and the ravages of nature, many of its structures still remain standing, serving as living proof of the extraordinary construction techniques of ancient Cham builders, techniques we have yet to replicate or fully understand. What do you think was the real secret behind the Cham people's construction techniques? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your theories. From the 4th century to the 13th century, my son was the primary religious and political center of the Champa Kingdom, a once thriving civilization in central Vietnam. It was a sacred site for performing Hindu rituals, especially those worshipping Shiva, the Hindu god of destruction and rebirth, revered as the supreme deity within the main temple towers. The entire My Son complex consists of more than 70 structures made of fired brick and sandstone. These are grouped into separate architectural clusters, each forming an independent religious center with distinct functions such as a main sanctuary kalan, entrance tower, gopura ceremony hall, storage room for offerings, and sacred water tanks. However, what makes My Son a global mystery is not merely its spiritual or artistic value, but the construction techniques so sophisticated that no modern builder has been able to replicate them. One of the greatest mysteries that continues to astonish archaeologists and modern engineers is the brick construction technique used by the ancient Cham people at My Son. What's truly remarkable is that the entire temple complex was built without any use of binding materials such as lime cement or mud. Yet the bricks are fitted so precisely that even a thin blade cannot be inserted between the joints. Upon closer inspection, researchers have noted that Cham bricks are dark red in color, significantly lighter than modern bricks, and most notably, completely water-resistant. Some temple walls remain smooth and intact, despite having stood for more than 1,000 years, enduring weather time and even war. This raises a series of perplexing questions. What technology did the Cham use to fire their bricks? How were they able to construct towers tens of meters high without relying on any adhesive material? One theory suggests that the bricks were pre-fired and then assembled while still hot and moist, allowing natural thermal bonding between the layers. Another theory proposes that they used a kind of plant-based adhesive, possibly tree resin, which has now been lost to time. However, to this day, no scientific experiment has been able to fully replicate the tightness, durability, or weather resistance of the ancient Cham bricks at My Son. Numerous international research teams from France, Poland, Japan, and beyond have conducted studies, sampled materials, and performed chemical analyses. Yet all conclusions remain unproven hypotheses. The temple towers at My Son, therefore, continue to guard their secrets in silence, a silent challenge to the limits of modern science. Another remarkable aspect of My Son's sanctuary is its exceptional structural durability and meticulously calculated overall layout. The temple towers are all designed with symmetrical architecture featuring wide, solid bases that gradually taper as they rise, forming balanced, pyramid-like shapes. This design is not only aesthetically pleasing, but also functionally effective, helping to distribute weight evenly and increasing the structure's resistance to natural forces, such as earthquakes or surrounding geological pressure. Moreover, the drainage systems, stairways, and pathways connecting the temple clusters are all arranged with impressive logic and precision. This level of organization indicates that the Cham people did not build spontaneously. They clearly possessed an advanced understanding of planning and construction far ahead of their time. Even more astonishing is the fact that no written records have been discovered detailing how these designs were achieved. All knowledge of brick placement, structural engineering, or directional alignment seems to have vanished, as if time itself deliberately erased it. And that is precisely what makes my son so mysterious, continually defying every modern attempt to fully decode its secrets. Although my son's architecture bears strong influences from ancient Indian culture, particularly Hinduism and Dravidian architectural styles, the Cham people did not simply copy. They absorbed and then transformed it in their own way, blending Indian spiritual elements with Southeast Asian aesthetics. Deities such as Shiva, Vishnu, Brahma, Naga, and Garuda still appear in the temples, but they are not depicted as fierce as in traditional Indian art. Instead, the gods in my son architecture often possess a calm, approachable, meditative expression, reflecting a humanistic view and a sense of harmony between man and the divine. This demonstrates that the Cham were not merely adopting foreign techniques and beliefs, but were also reshaping them into their own cultural identity, creating a civilization that was both adaptive and uniquely independent. During the Vietnam War, the My Son area was used as a base for resistance forces and was heavily bombed by American forces. Several temple towers were almost completely destroyed. However, dozens of structures still stand today, weathered and scarred yet resilient, offering astonishing evidence of ancient engineering prowess. At my son's sanctuary, more than 30 ancient stone steles have been discovered inscribed in Sanskrit, an old Cham script. These inscriptions were often placed in front of major temple towers, recording religious rituals, historical events, the names of kings, and the deities worshipped there. However, many of these inscriptions remain only partially deciphered to this day. Some characters have been eroded by time, while others are simply too ancient to be accurately interpreted. Researchers believe that among the lost lines, there may have once been formulas for brickmaking, construction methods, or architectural layouts, vital technical knowledge that has now vanished. The silence of these stone steles only deepens the mystery of my son, as if the site is still guarding a fragment of ancient knowledge that has never been revealed. In 1999, UNESCO recognized my son's sanctuary as a World Cultural Heritage Site, not only for its architectural and historical value, but also for its spiritual significance and symbolic role within the Champa civilization. However, beyond preservation, my son remains a mystery, waiting to be solved, a source of inspiration for generations of scholars, scientists, and architects. Today, with the aid of modern technologies such as three-dimensional laser scanning, particle accelerator analysis, and digital architectural modeling, researchers hope to gradually uncover answers that have been buried for thousands of years. How did the Cham build my son? And what makes their bricks more durable than modern cement? My son is not just a relic of the past. It may well be the future of discovery. My son is not just an archaeological site. It is a challenge to our understanding of ancient technology and history. What remains is not merely brick, stone, and deity statues, but a testament to a civilization that once reached technological heights still unmatched in our modern era. And perhaps it is precisely this lack of explanation, the bricks laid without mortar, the walls that have stood for thousands of years, the temples that endured bombs and time, that makes my son one of the greatest architectural enigmas in Southeast Asia. Amidst the lush mountains and jungles of Bali Island, where terraced rice fields stretch in winding steps, lies an ancient temple complex that is both solemn and mysterious, Gunung Kawi. This is not the typical temple, built from assembled bricks or stones. Each shrine Kandi here is carved directly into towering limestone cliffs, reaching a height of 7 meters, shaped like miniature sanctuaries. Its grandeur and precision raise a profound question. Who built Gunung Kawi? How did they do it? And how long did it take? Walking into the temple feels like stepping back in time. The path descending to the complex is a narrow stone-paved trail winding through coconut groves and terraced rice paddies before suddenly revealing a vast world of stone carved into the cliffside, a sacred realm embedded in pristine nature. Yet it is precisely this magnificence that continues to puzzle today's archaeologists and engineers. That is because the entire Gunung Kawi complex, consisting of at least 10 memorial shrines, was carved entirely by hand at a time believed to have had only rudimentary tools made from stone or soft metals. Do you believe ancient craftsmen could have carved such massive structures using only simple tools, or do you think they had access to lost knowledge or forgotten techniques? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your theory. One of the most astonishing aspects of Gunung Kawi is the sheer precision and scale of its rock-cut structures, something that would be difficult to achieve even with modern technology. Imagine assigning a construction team today to carve a 7-meter-tall temple directly into hard stone using only primitive tools. It would require hundreds of workers, months of labor, and even then, there would be a high risk of errors in proportion, symmetry, or detailing. Yet thousands of years ago, without drills, without laser measuring devices, and without 3D modeling, the ancient Balinese people managed to complete numerous monumental shrines with breathtaking accuracy. The lingering question is, how did they do it? No historical record survives that details the construction process of Gunung Kawi. The ancient inscriptions that have been found mostly in the Kawi or Sanskrit script mention only the individuals commemorated or the associated rituals. There is not a single line describing how the structures were carved, what tools were used, or how long the entire project took. Some scholars theorize that Gunung Kawi was built around the 11th century during the reign of King Anak Wungsu, son of the renowned King Udayana. However, this remains speculation, as no definitive dating has been confirmed, and there is no archaeological evidence proving that the entire complex was completed within the relatively brief reign of a single monarch. This ambiguity is precisely what gives Gunung Kawi its air of mystery, as if it belongs to a lost civilization we have yet to fully understand. Many archaeologists believe that ancient craftsmen may have used copper or iron tools to chisel the rock, but this theory quickly encounters a problem. The stone at Gunung Kawi is andesite, a type of volcanic rock with very high hardness, nearly impossible to precisely shape using soft metals. Moreover, the details of each shrine, from columns and domes to altars, exhibit an uncanny symmetry as if they were measured with modern technology. Some have speculated that ancient builders might have used water or fire to soften the stone before carving, but there is no experimental evidence to support that idea. The absence of tool marks, construction guides, or any kind of blueprint forces modern researchers to ask a profound question: did the ancients possess a kind of knowledge or technology that has been completely lost to time? One of the most striking features that sets Gunung Kawi apart from most other ancient structures lies in its construction technique. It was not built using individually assembled stone blocks, but rather carved directly from solid rock, using a method known as negative carving. Instead of building upward from a foundation, the builders removed layer after layer of material to reveal the final form, meaning that even a small mistake during carving could have ruined the entire monument. This process required an extraordinary level of spatial awareness, along with the ability to calculate precisely how much rock to remove, what shapes to preserve, and in what sequence to execute the work. This technique has been recorded at other famous sites like Petra in Jordan or India's rock-cut tombs, but at Gunung Kawi, It appears earlier in history and was applied on a larger scale than most people realize. When considering the scale and level of detail of the monuments at Gunung Kawi, a major question arises: how much time would it have taken to complete the entire complex using only primitive tools? Suppose a group of 10 skilled craftsmen worked 8 hours a day, it could still take them many months or even years just to finish a single 7-meter-tall shrine. With at least 10 shrines present at the site, the total construction time could stretch over several decades, far exceeding the span of a single human lifetime. This raises the possibility that Gunung Kawi was an intergenerational project passed down through many generations of artisans. Or perhaps an even bolder idea that the ancient builders once possessed a special kind of knowledge or technique now completely lost to history. Some theories suggest they may have used acoustic vibrations, frequency resonance, or ancient mechanical methods to soften stone or move massive amounts of material techniques far beyond our current understanding. While no concrete evidence has yet been found to confirm such theories, they also cannot be fully dismissed, given how many questions about Gunung Kawi remain unanswered. A deeper layer of mystery at Gunung Kawi lies in its unusual architectural choice. Why carve temples directly into the cliff face when they could have been built using bricks or stacked stone blocks like many other structures from the same period in Indonesia? This question goes beyond engineering. It touches on the spiritual worldview and philosophical thinking of ancient people. Could the act of cutting into solid rock symbolize an eternal bond with Mother Earth as a way to anchor the soul between heaven and earth? Or perhaps it reflects the belief that the soul continues its journey of reincarnation after death, and the rock temple serves as a marker of that immortality. Many scholars believe this design reflects core ideas from ancient Hindu philosophy, the concepts of permanence, the endless cycle of life, and the connection between the visible and invisible worlds. But Gunung Kawi appears to go far beyond a typical place of worship, supporting details such as underground water channels, narrow corridors leading to enclosed chambers, and hidden stairways beneath the stone floor have led some to associate the site with a high-level ceremonial center or even a sacred laboratory where timeless knowledge might have been preserved. The combination of symbolism, architecture, and spirituality suggests that Gunung Kawi was not just a royal burial ground, but a spiritual energy hub, a gateway between the human realm and the cosmos. Gunung Kawi stands tall in the tranquil valley of Tampak Siring, confronting all modern minds who attempt to explain its existence using today's logic. Every chisel mark, every sculpted groove is a question: who created this, how, and for what purpose? As science struggles to offer definite answers, Gunung Kawi remains a living symbol of an ancient civilization we only barely comprehend. Perhaps what makes Gunung Kawi truly magnificent is not just its size or age, but the silence it carries, as if its towering stones are guarding secrets humanity is not yet ready to uncover. High above the forests of northeastern Turkey, clinging to a cliff like a miracle carved into stone, lies a place that seems to defy not only gravity but reason itself. Sumela Monastery is not merely a structure, it is a paradox. Built over 1,600 years ago, at more than 1,200 meters above sea level, it merges faith and engineering in a way no modern blueprint can explain. Balanced against a sheer vertical wall, accessible only by treacherous mountain paths, it raises a question that haunts historians to this day. How did ancient hands without machines or modern tools create a sanctuary in a place where even standing feels impossible? Could it be that our ancestors possessed lost architectural knowledge, or perhaps unwavering faith can help humans overcome gravity and terrain alike? Share your thoughts in the comments below. The story of Sumela may still hold many secrets yet to be uncovered. According to legend, the monastery was founded by two monks from Athens, Barnabas and Sophronios, in the year 386 AD, after both experienced the same vision of the Virgin Mary guiding them to the Karadag Mountains to find a sacred icon. Upon arrival, they reportedly discovered an image of the Virgin Mary on a high cliff and decided to establish the monastery right there as a place of worship. But beyond myth, what truly puzzles scholars is the technical question: how did they construct a building directly onto a vertical cliff without cranes, concrete, or any modern tool? Standing at the foot of the mountain and looking up at the sheer cliff where Sumela Monastery is perched, it's hard to believe that such a complex structure could exist at an elevation of more than 1,200 meters, and that it was built over 1.5 millennia ago. The monastery contains dozens of rooms, corridors, chapels, and even a water channeling system, all skillfully arranged along the nearly vertical cliffside. There is no wide road leading to the summit, nor is there any clear evidence of ancient scaffolding pulley systems or transport equipment having been used. That means every stone block, wooden beam bucket of mortar, or even food and water had to be carried by hand, hauled on horseback, or pulled up with rope across narrow, steep, and slippery trails through dense forest. The transportation of materials alone was a monumental task, and yet the entire structure has stood firm for centuries. Some small stone steps have been found along the mountain's slope, but they are too narrow and uneven to support the transport of large construction blocks. This has led researchers to propose bold hypotheses. Could ancient builders have used wooden pulleys, primitive cranes, or some now lost building technique? If so, why hasn't a trace of it been found? And if it was built with nothing but human strength, then that very human effort becomes a miracle that defies imagination. Typically, religious structures are built on flat ground, close to settlements convenient for pilgrimage and preaching, but Sumela Monastery is the complete opposite. It stands on an almost inaccessible cliff, far from any village, with no apparent military or economic advantage, and certainly not suitable for agriculture or daily living. This has led researchers to believe that its location was not a random choice, but a deeply intentional decision. One theory suggests that the extreme isolation and the awe-inspiring presence of the cliff symbolize ultimate spiritual purity, allowing monks to fully detach from worldly distractions and connect directly with the divine. Some bolder scholars have proposed that the site might have once been an ancient energy point, a convergence of geomagnetic forces chosen not only for faith, but also because of astronomical or geological knowledge that has since been lost. If that's the case, the construction of Sumela here carries not just spiritual meaning, but may hint at a deeper wisdom buried by time. After enduring the difficult journey to reach Sumela Monastery, one quickly realizes that this is not merely a temple or a simple place of worship. The entire site is a tightly integrated, self-contained complex consisting of the main chapel, a library, monks' sleeping quarters, a dining hall, guest accommodations for pilgrims, food storage rooms, and most notably, an underground water system carved through solid rock channeling spring water from the mountain directly into the monastery. This structure served not only spiritual purposes, but also reveals that the monastery was once a fully self-sufficient ecosystem, capable of sustaining life for centuries, even in total isolation from the outside world. The long-standing survival of such a complex system, built atop slanted, slippery, and hazardous rock, raises a profound question. Was this the work of skilled craftsmen who labored continuously over decades or even across generations? And if so, how did they ensure such architectural precision enough to keep the entire structure not only intact, but enduring for over a millennium in such extreme and unforgiving conditions? Over the course of many centuries, Sumela Monastery was repeatedly attacked, abandoned, and later restored. reflecting the sweeping tides of history from the Byzantine era through the Ottoman period until it was completely deserted in 1923, following the population exchange between Turkey and Greece. Yet what astonishes researchers is not just its historical fate, but rather its near-miraculous survival against the relentless forces of time and nature. Despite enduring fierce storms, dense fog, heavy snowfall, and freezing conditions at high altitude, the structure has retained its architectural stability and solid rock foundation, something that even many modern constructions fail to achieve after just a few centuries. Even during recent restoration efforts, the Turkish government encountered serious challenges due to the treacherous terrain, with modern equipment unable to access the site. The difficulty of restoring it using 21st century technology only underscores an even more astonishing truth. Building Sumela in the 4th century was not just a challenge, it was almost impossible. And that very impossibility is what has transformed this site into a living testament to the ancient human ability to defy all limits. Today, Sumela Monastery has become a renowned destination for tourists, pilgrims, and researchers alike. Yet even in the modern era, standing before a sheer cliff that holds a structure thousands of years old, everyone is compelled to ask, how did they manage to build this place? To this day, the question remains unanswered. All that's left are fragments of legend, unproven engineering theories, and a towering monument, one that seems to defy every known law of physics. In the heart of Karnataka, India, stands a temple that challenges everything we think we know about ancient craftsmanship. The Hoysaleswara temple, built over 8 centuries ago, is not just a religious monument, it's a riddle in stone. Among its maze of divine carvings and sacred sculptures lies a feature that modern engineers still struggle to explain: its lathe-turned pillars. These spiral columns, carved from solid stone with a precision that rivals machine-made perfection, are so symmetrical, so polished, so impossibly smooth that they seem to belong to a world with power tools and CAD software, not to a medieval dynasty armed only with chisels and faith. How were they made? Who held the knowledge? And why has it vanished without a trace? What do you think? Could ancient builders have known something we've lost today? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. At first glance, one might assume these are merely structural supports within a stone temple. But upon closer inspection, it becomes clear that each pillar at Hoysaleswara is a unique work of art with its own design motifs and structure. Some are intricately carved with scenes of mythology, battles, animals, and symmetrical geometric patterns. Others, however, appear entirely smooth, featuring evenly spiraled surfaces from base to top, raising a serious question among archaeologists and historians alike. How did ancient craftsmen lathe stone as if it were wood or metal? In reality, lathe-turned pillars, or those shaped through a rotating process, are a rare phenomenon in ancient stone architecture. Observing these columns up close at the Hoysaleswara temple, one is stunned by their near-perfect symmetry, with concentric rings and carved grooves so precise that they appear machine-made. Each spiral resembles a cut, made by high-speed rotary equipment. Yet this structure dates back to the 12th century, nearly 9 centuries before the Industrial Revolution. No clear evidence suggests the Hoysala possessed lathe machines capable of working with stone, so the question remains, how were these columns created? Many modern scholars have tried to explain how the Hoysala people could have created such perfectly spiral-carved stone pillars without the help of modern machinery. Some theories suggest they may have used manual mechanical systems such as pulleys, wheels, or wooden rotating shafts to spin the stone while artisans performed the carving. However, even with such tools, producing uniform, continuous, and millimeter-precise spirals would have required an extraordinary level of craftsmanship far beyond ordinary standards. The spiral grooves are evenly spaced and symmetrically distributed around the pillars, indicating that they possessed an exceptionally refined system of measurement and fabrication comparable to the precision of modern CNC machines. This has led many to ask, could the Hoysalas have accessed a form of technology or knowledge that we have completely lost today? One of the most remarkable aspects of the pillar system at the Hoysaleswara temple is that no two pillars are exactly alike. Each column is a unique design, as if every artisan left a personal signature carved into stone. Some pillars are densely adorned with floral motifs, concentric circles, and alternating sections of smooth surfaces and intricate ridges, all arranged with perfect balance. Others are simpler in form, but exhibit an astonishing level of polish, reflecting light, like a mirror, a technique extremely rare in ancient stone architecture. This demonstrates that the Hoysala craftsmen possessed not only exceptional sculpting skills, but also a refined sense of aesthetics and individual expression far beyond the conventional expectations of medieval temple construction. One of the greatest technical challenges surrounding the spiral pillars at the Hoysaleswara temple lies in a fundamental question. How could ancient builders rotate and sculpt stone blocks weighing hundreds of kilograms or even several tons with such absolute precision in the context of the medieval period, without engines, machinery, or advanced mechanical systems rotating a massive stone around its axis? To carve symmetrical spirals would have been nearly impossible. To this day, no plausible reconstruction model has successfully demonstrated that such work could have been achieved entirely by hand. Numerous modern research teams have attempted to recreate the process using tools like wooden shafts, pulley systems, or even sand and water abrasion, but none have replicated the level of refinement seen at Hoysaleswara. This has led to a wave of controversial theories, from the idea that the Hoysalas possessed lost ancient technologies to more radical suggestions involving intervention by advanced civilizations or even extraterrestrial influence. While none of these claims have scientific proof, they reflect the irresistible pull of a mystery carved in stone, a challenge that time itself has yet to unravel. One often overlooked but incredibly important aspect of the Hoysaleswara temple is the mathematically precise arrangement of its pillars. From the spacing between columns, their orientation to their relative placement within the space, everything reflects meticulous and intentional planning, not random construction. Some researchers believe that this layout may be linked to acoustics designed to create special echo effects for religious rituals. In fact, tapping lightly on certain pillars produces distinct resonant tones, similar to the phenomenon of musical pillars found in temples like Vitala. This raises a profound question. Were these pillars merely structural supports, or were they part of a larger system of sound energy or forgotten ceremonial functions? It opens up an entirely new dimension in how we perceive ancient architecture. When we combine all these elements, timeless craftsmanship, flawless symmetry, mirror-like surfaces, unique designs, and mysterious acoustic properties, the pillars of Hoysaleswara emerge as something far beyond conventional architecture. Some researchers have likened them to a code written in stone remnants of a forgotten wisdom, or at the very least, a level of engineering in stone carving that modern humans have yet to match manually. Perhaps the most haunting aspect of all is the absence of historical records. No ancient manuscripts describe the pillar-making techniques. No tools have been found nearby that could produce such spirals. Meanwhile, the entire temple, from its walls and ceilings to its doorways and statues, bears the imprint of a highly symbolic and expressive culture, making one wonder, were these pillars mere supports, or were they symbols, ceremonial devices, or artifacts with purposes we no longer understand? More than 800 years have passed since these pillars were completed. The Hoysala dynasty has long faded into history, yet these stone columns remain silent, unmoving, but profoundly mysterious. They remind us that throughout the vast timeline of human civilization, there remain achievements that modern science cannot fully comprehend. The pillars of Hoysaleswara are not just carved stone, they are unanswered questions, fossilized memories of an ancient genius so refined that we must ask ourselves, do we truly understand the depth of our past? High above the twisting rivers of Sicily, carved into sheer limestone walls, lies a forgotten world of the dead. This is not a temple, not a fortress, not a city of the living. It's a massive necropolis unlike anything found elsewhere in Europe. Over 5,000 tombs, gouged into vertical cliffs with terrifying precision. Who created them? Why bury the dead so high, so far beyond reach? With no names, no writings, and no tools left behind, the Necropolis of Pantalica raises questions that defy archaeology logic and time itself. It is a monument to mystery and perhaps to a civilization that left no voice, only stone. What do you think was the real reason behind carving over 5,000 tombs into sheer cliffs? Was it ritual protection or something we haven't even imagined yet? Share your theory in the comments below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. The first and most unforgettable impression upon arriving at Pantalica is the overwhelming sight of thousands of oval, round, or trapezoidal cavities clinging to vertical cliffs that rise tens of meters into the sky. What makes this place extraordinary is not just the sheer number of tombs, but their unimaginable locations, many situated at such heights that one might think only birds could reach them. These cavities are not naturally formed caves, shaped by time, but rather man-made tombs, carefully carved by ancient people into solid limestone cliff faces with remarkable intention, craftsmanship, and precision. According to archaeologists, these tombs were created around the 13th century BCE and remained in use until the 7th century BCE, spanning more than 500 years. Despite this long timeline, the design and layout of the tombs show remarkable consistency from the shape of their entrances to the internal chambers. This suggests that the tombs were not the result of random individual efforts, but of a clearly defined belief system and astonishing artisanal skill. Some modern scholars have even referred to it as the art of cliffside burial. Yet what baffles researchers the most is the complete absence of tools or construction traces. There are no ancient ladders, no scaffolding, no signs of devices used to lift or transport the bodies. All that remains are silent, empty tombs suspended on cliff faces like unanswered questions. Some theories suggest they may have used wooden ladders, pulleys, or support structures made from trees, but all of these remain mere speculation as no concrete evidence has ever been found. And so the greatest question continues to hang in the air even today. Why choose to bury the dead in such treacherous and unreachable places? More than 5,000 tombs, yet not a single gravestone, not one inscription, no names, titles, or farewell messages. Each tomb is a silent, hollow cavity in the rock, radiating a chilling emptiness. Archaeologists call this place a necropolis, a city of the dead, but in truth, it is a wordless city. No one knows who was buried here, how they lived, or why they died. The absence of writing or symbols poses great challenges for researchers trying to reconstruct the spiritual and cultural life of this ancient community. All that remains are fragments of bone, shards of pottery, and simple stone or bronze tools, scattered relics difficult to assemble into a coherent picture. This stark contrast makes the rock tombs at Pantalica very different from renowned necropolises in Egypt or Greece, where elaborate graves often feature statues, carvings, and even sacred texts guiding the dead to the afterlife. In contrast, the people of Pantalica chose absolute silence, as if they wished to bury not just the dead, but also their memories and identities. Carving thousands of tombs into the limestone cliffs of Pantalica was far more than manual labor. It was a technological feat beyond its time. The limestone here is extremely hard and difficult to shape without specialized tools. Yet the ancient builders didn't just carve a handful of tombs, they created thousands of burial chambers, many with narrow entrances that expanded inside into oval or square-shaped rooms. Some even contained additional side chambers. What's truly astonishing is the uniformity in size, shape, and layout, indicating that this was not the result of random efforts, but the product of technical knowledge passed down through generations. Smooth, precise cutting marks found on some tombs suggest they may have used bronze tools, yet how they managed to work at such heights with such accuracy remains a mystery. Some theories propose the existence of wooden ladders, scaffolding, or temporary support platforms which may have decayed over time. But regardless of the method, the planning, construction, and ceremonial use of each rock tomb undoubtedly required large-scale coordination from the entire community, sustained over many generations, a monumental collective effort, now only visible through the silent impressions left in stone. One of the features that makes the necropolis of Pantalica truly remarkable lies not just in the number of tombs, but in how they were arranged. The tombs are not scattered randomly. Instead, they are organized into clearly defined zones, such as Necropoli, Nord-Nord-Ovest-Est, and Filiporto. Each zone has its own characteristics in terms of elevation, tomb size, and architectural complexity. Some contain only simple niches, while others feature multi-chambered tombs, even with corridors or side rooms. Some scholars believe this distribution reflects a social hierarchy, with high-status individuals buried higher up in larger and more elaborate tombs, while commoners or slaves were interred lower down, near the base of the cliffs. Others suggest that burial at higher elevations was a spiritual expression, meant to bring the souls of the dead closer to the heavens as part of a sacred ritual. Although no theory has been definitively proven, one thing is clear: the organization of these burial zones was far from random. It points to a structured society in which funerary practices may have been overseen by leaders such as chieftains, priests, or a dedicated funeral council, individuals responsible for managing and maintaining order in this vast city of the dead. Among all the mysteries surrounding the necropolis of Pantalica, perhaps the most difficult question to answer is, why did ancient people choose to bury their dead in cliffs that are nearly impossible to reach? Some theories suggest it was a protective measure to keep wild animals or grave robbers away, especially if the dead were buried with valuable grave goods. Others lean toward a spiritual explanation, proposing that cliffs symbolized a connection between the world of the living and the realm of spirits, a threshold between earth and sky. Another perspective sees these tombs as a form of returning to Mother Earth, not by placing the body beneath soil, but by embedding it within the raw, eternal stone itself. However, regardless of the reasoning, these theories still fall short of explaining the enormous scale and astonishing uniformity of this entire burial system. This was not a case of a few dozen or even a few hundred tombs. There were more than 5,000 spread across vertical cliff faces used for centuries. This strongly suggests that it wasn't a spontaneous or short-lived practice, but rather a deeply rooted cultural tradition enduring over many generations and marked by an unusual commitment to a burial method that was as logistically difficult as it was symbolically meaningful. The necropolis of Pantalica is not merely an archaeological site. It is a silent epic in stone crafted by unnamed hands, leaving behind a monument that continues to awe and mystify the world today. Beneath the sacred sands of Abydos, behind the majestic temple of Seti, the first lies a structure so baffling that it defies the the very logic of Egyptian architecture. This is the Osirion, a subterranean temple buried more than 10 meters deep, built not with delicate carvings or golden ornamentation, but with monstrous granite blocks, each weighing tens of tons. There's no inscription, no builder's name, no clear purpose, just silent stones, impossibly large, impossibly precise, and utterly out of place. It's not what you'd expect from ancient Egypt. In fact, it feels like something much older, something forgotten. Who could have moved such enormous stones, with what tools, and why leave behind no record? The deeper you go, the clearer it becomes. The Osirion isn't just a structure, it's a mystery that challenges everything we think we know about ancient civilization. Do you think the Osirion was built by the ancient Egyptians, or by a lost civilization we've yet to understand? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your theory. From the very first glance, the Osirion looks unlike any of the hundreds of known temples of ancient Egypt. While structures from the New Kingdom era like those of Ramses or Seti I are known for their fine craftsmanship and colorful carvings depicting gods' rituals and the afterlife, the Osirion stands apart. It is built from massive blocks of red granite and grey sandstone averaging from 40 to 100 tons, a figure that astonishes even modern archaeologists. These blocks were not only transported over long distances, possibly from Aswan, over 200 kilometers away, but also stacked with near-perfect precision, using tools the Egyptians possessed, at the time, primarily copper and stone. In an age without cranes, without iron wheels, without lathes, how could the ancients transport and erect stone blocks the size of a two-story building, then place them so precisely that you can't even slide a blade between them? This is no longer a question of engineering, it's a question that lies beyond the accepted framework of history. A peculiar feature of the Osirion is that nearly all the blocks used for pillars and lintels are simple in shape, square or rectangular, without any detailed carvings, symbols, or ritual depictions. Compared to the traditional design language of ancient Egypt, where every wall tells a story through imagery, the silence of the Osirion is deeply suspicious. Could it be that this monument was not built by the Egyptians, or was it so ancient that even they were simply latecomers inheriting and worshipping a sacred space that had existed long before? One of the most mysterious aspects of the Osirion lies in how its massive stone blocks were arranged and fitted with astonishing precision. Some horizontal beams stretch over 7 meters long, resting atop vertical columns more than 4 meters high, forming a structure strikingly similar to European megalithic sites like Stonehenge or the ancient ruins in Malta. What's even more remarkable is that no mortar was used. The stones fit perfectly thanks to their immense weight and surfaces polished to an unbelievable flatness. But how could the ancients smooth red granite, a stone nearly as hard as steel, without modern machinery? This remains one of the great unanswered questions. One of the most controversial theories about the Osirion is that it may not have been built by the Egyptians of the New Kingdom at all, but instead belongs to a much older civilization, possibly one that has vanished entirely from official historical records. The renowned researcher Graham Hancock once described the Osirion as a moment out of place in time, noting that its rough yet solid architecture doesn't align with the ornate, intricate style typical of constructions from the era of Seti I. Another scholar, John Anthony West, also questioned the monument's true age, suggesting that if Seti's temple was built around 1290 BCE, then the structure buried more than 10 meters below it may have existed long before. Some even bolder theories propose that the Osirion could date back to before 5000 BCE, a time when mainstream history insists humans had not yet developed the capability to construct such monumental stone structures. One of the strangest aspects of the Osirion is its location, built more than 12 meters below the current ground level. This raises two possibilities: Either the ancients deliberately constructed an underground structure, which is extremely rare in ancient Egyptian architecture, or the ground level has risen significantly over the millennia, burying the original monument. Either way, designing and constructing at such a depth would have required advanced surveying, foundation planning, and engineering skills, especially given the site's proximity to groundwater and its constant risk of flooding. The fact that the Osirion has remained structurally intact for thousands of years under such conditions has led many researchers to believe it may not have been merely a temple, but perhaps a symbolic engineering marvel with a much deeper purpose. One of the most perplexing questions for researchers is this: did the ancient Egyptians truly possess construction technology far ahead of their time, or were they merely inheritors of a structure built by a lost earlier civilization? This mystery baffles not only archaeologists, but also modern engineers, physicists, and architects. Numerous teams have attempted to recreate the techniques used to build the Osirion, using ancient tools, rolling stones over logs, dragging them with ropes, or employing primitive pulleys, yet most efforts have failed. The stones are not only massive in weight, but also demand a level of precision that is nearly impossible to achieve with such manual methods. Despite determined attempts, modern experiments have yet to produce a plausible explanation. What's even more remarkable is the total lack of any surviving text describing the construction of the Osirion. No inscription names its builder. No records in hieroglyphs describe when it was made, what it was for, or which rituals were performed inside. This silence further fuels the suspicion: could the monument be so ancient it predates the collective memory of even the ancient Egyptians? Even modern visitors to the Osirion, those familiar with pyramids and grand temples, often express a strange feeling of displacement. Something about it feels ancient, yet not Egyptian. It feels like it was built by someone else with a very specific purpose and then forgotten by time. Today, the Osirion remains partially submerged, underwater year-round, making exploration difficult. Yet this only deepens its symbolic power, evoking the underworld in Egyptian mythology, the realm where Osiris resurrected from death. Perhaps for this reason, later Egyptians chose to associate the Osirion with the myth of Osiris, god of rebirth, even if they did not fully understand the monument's origins. In the end, the Osirion is not just a relic. It is an open question, a challenge to mainstream history. Its colossal stones, its silent walls, its improbable depth, and its utterly distinct architectural style make it a symbol of something beyond time, both in physical scale and intellectual reach. Are we confronting a lost civilization, or have we simply underestimated the ingenuity of our ancestors? The answer perhaps still lies buried beneath the groundwater of the Osirion. And that is why it remains one of the most fascinating mysteries of ancient Egypt. Amid the salty winds of the North Sea, on a remote little island called Papawestre in the far north of Scotland, stands a stone structure that quietly defies time. Knap of Howar, a name that may sound modest, is in fact one of the oldest standing stone houses in Europe and possibly in the entire world. But its age is not the only thing that makes it remarkable. What astonishes archaeologists and architects alike is this: after nearly 6 millennia, the structure still stands strong. While countless modern buildings crumble within just a few decades, this primitive stone house from the Neolithic era has endured for more than 5,700 years. How could that be possible? What do you think allowed a simple stone house to survive nearly 6,000 years and still remain standing? Was it advanced engineering, a brilliantly chosen location, or some ancient secret we have yet to uncover? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Knap of Howar is not as widely known as Stonehenge or the pyramids of Giza, yet it quietly holds a unique status. It is the oldest surviving stone house in Europe, dating back to around 3700 BCE. When it was discovered and excavated in the 1930s, this structure immediately forced archaeologists to reconsider everything they thought they knew about Neolithic construction techniques. How could a house, built without cement, without steel, without machinery, survive for thousands of years, enduring storms and harsh sea winds, yet still retain its original shape? This is not merely an archaeological relic, it is a direct challenge to modern engineering itself. The structure of Knap of Howar consists of two main rectangular rooms connected by a small passageway. Though simple in layout, every detail in this construction reveals a level of craftsmanship far ahead of its time. The walls, about 1.5 meters thick, were made from carefully selected local stone, stacked with precision, entirely without the use of any binding material. Despite lacking mortar, the stones were interlocked, using a force-locking method to increase stability, allowing the building to withstand strong winds, erosion, and even ground movement. The foundation was placed directly on solid bedrock, cleverly taking advantage of the natural slope of the land to channel rainwater away, a remarkably sophisticated detail for a structure built nearly 6,000 years ago. The resilience wasn't limited to the exterior. Inside the two chambers, original interior features such as built-in stone shelves, a central hearth, and wall-carved storage recesses remain intact. These details show that the ancient builders weren't just trying to survive, they deliberately created a long-term dwelling, both functional and well-adapted to the harsh coastal environment. Orkney is not an easy place to survive. With strong winds, year-round constant humidity, and fierce sea storms that relentlessly erode the rocky coastline, it seems almost impossible for any structure to endure nearly 6 millennia and still maintain its structural integrity. And yet Knap of Howar has done just that silently, but with remarkable resilience. Geologists analyzing the site discovered that the ancient builders deliberately selected stone with exceptional durability and higher-than-average water resistance. Moreover, their construction technique, known as dry stone building, which uses no mortar, proved to be incredibly sturdy, especially thanks to the use of an interlocking method. Each new layer of stone was laid offset over the joints of the previous one, forming a tightly woven structure capable of dispersing pressure and external force efficiently. What astonished experts even more was this: despite the absence of a roof, the walls show no signs of leaning, cracking, or subsiding, a clear indication that the weight of the structure was evenly distributed and carefully planned from the start. This was no longer mere instinctive knowledge, it was true architectural expertise, far beyond the outdated assumptions we once held about Stone Age people. When examining Knap of Howar closely, archaeologists discovered many subtle details that clearly indicate this was never meant to be a temporary shelter. Small ventilation slits were cleverly positioned to allow airflow while limiting cold wind from blowing directly inside. Narrow light inlets, placed at wall corners, allowed natural daylight to enter without compromising the structure's stability. Notably, the food storage system was also well-designed. Recessed compartments lined with moisture-resistant stone, combined with hidden drainage channels beneath the floor, a carefully planned technique to prevent dampness and mold. These features reveal a systematic architectural mindset, likely passed down through generations. Perhaps the most surprising detail is this: many of the stones were cut with astonishingly straight, square edges, despite the fact that metal tools were not commonly used at the time. Did they use bone flint, or perhaps some ancient stone-cutting method that has since been lost to history? Perhaps the most remarkable thing about Knap of Howar isn't the stones themselves, but the mindset of its builders. It reflects a design philosophy oriented toward the future, where every detail was considered not only to serve the present, but to endure. While modern houses are often built to last only a few decades, the people of the Neolithic era seem to build for the next generations and perhaps even for history itself. Knap of Howar has no ornate decorations, no carvings, no symbols of power. Yet it is this radical simplicity that contributes to its resilience. Every stone was placed exactly where it needed to be. Every cut served a specific function. Nothing was excessive and nothing was weak. That is the power of purposeful simplicity. Today, modern engineers still find inspiration in the dry stone stacking technique used at Knap of Howar when designing sustainable and eco-friendly structures. From insulation and moisture resistance to terrain adaptation and natural ventilation, this humble structure demonstrates timeless principles of ecological architecture. It proves that sustainability does not necessarily depend on modern technology. Sometimes the key to withstanding the test of time lies in simplicity, intelligent planning, and living in harmony with nature. Knap of Howar is not a flashy monument, but in its quiet strength, in its endurance, and in its near-perfect simplicity, it commands respect from across the ages. It is not just a house to live in, it is a message passed from our ancestors to us about how to build with purpose, wisdom, and resilience. Hidden beneath the seemingly peaceful gardens of Quinta de Regaleira lies a complex underground tunnel system that most visitors never expect. But for those drawn to esotericism and secret societies, this place is not merely an architectural work, it is a three-dimensional symbolic map. A labyrinth where reality and spirituality intersect. Beneath each stone and around every underground corner are profound metaphors for inner transformation, sacred rituals, and the journey of soul liberation, core concepts in the philosophies of various European secret societies, such as the Freemasons, Rosicrucians, and the Knights Templar. Do you believe this underground system was truly built for esoteric rituals? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Unlike what many might assume, the tunnel system at Quinta de Regaleira is far from random or merely decorative. It was crafted with a precise symbolic logic, arranged according to the principles of ancient esoteric philosophies. Every twist and turn holds meaning, guiding the traveler through an experience that is not only spatial, but profoundly spiritual, from feelings of disorientation and fear to the sudden revelation of light and an exit. It represents a microcosm of an initiation ritual where a person must die symbolically to be reborn with new awareness. Some tunnels are so narrow, you must bow your head to pass. Some are pitch black and eerily silent, while others unexpectedly open to small pools of water illuminated by strange shafts of natural light. All of it is deliberately designed, echoing the journey of challenge and inner transformation. Certain tunnels lead directly to highly symbolic spaces, such as the initiation well, a point of ritual, beginning or ending. Leader's Cave, a symbol of divine human union, as well as various watchtowers, underground chapels, and false doors, each serving a unique purpose in this path toward enlightenment. One of the most astonishing aspects of the tunnel system at Quinta de Regaleira is the dense network of cleverly encoded symbols hidden throughout the architecture, lighting, geometry, and even sound. At many intersections, one can easily spot inverted triangles, symbols of the water element often associated with the deeper layers of the subconscious and repressed emotions. Some tunnels are designed in spiral formations, reminiscent of the structure of galaxies, or the human brain, representing cosmic intelligence and the journey of inner exploration. The number of steps, stone pillars, and wall carvings are anything but random. They are meticulously calculated based on mystical numbers: 3, the Holy Trinity; 7, the perfect cycle; 9, transformation; and 33, the pinnacle of knowledge in Masonic tradition. Notably, some dead ends do not conclude in meaningless darkness, but are marked by light cues or sacred symbols, as if to suggest that choosing the wrong path is sometimes necessary to uncover unexpected truth. In Freemasonry, symbols are always a means of concealing knowledge. Only the initiated can grasp the deeper layers of meaning. And this becomes even more evident at Quinta de Regaleira, where no clear signs are provided, forcing visitors to rely on feeling and intuition rather than logic alone to find their way. It's impossible to discuss the underground system of Quinta de Regaleira without mentioning the initiation. Well, a majestic structure nearly 27 meters deep, encircled by 9 spiraling levels of stairs that seem to guide one step by step into the earth. At the bottom lies a cross, inscribed within a circle, a symbol deeply rooted in alchemy and esoteric rituals representing the union of spirit and matter, life and death. This well is far more than decorative architecture. It is a gateway into the initiatory journey where participants symbolically die, confront their inner darkness, abandon their former ego, and then emerge into the light with renewed awareness. The journey begins at the top of the well, where light still lingers faintly, then gradually descends into increasing darkness until reaching the bottom, where a hidden tunnel leads toward Leda's cave. There, light shining through the artificial lake above acts as a beam of truth, symbolizing rebirth. Many scholars believe this well was not merely symbolic, but actually used in real esoteric rituals by secret societies such as the Freemasons or Rosicrucians, with every architectural detail serving a greater spiritual process steeped in mystery and ceremonial transformation. One of the most captivating aspects of the tunnel system at Quinta de Regaleira is how many of its passageways are intentionally designed to deceive those who enter. Some doors open only to reveal a solid stone wall, while certain tunnels loop around in circles, leading you right back to where you started. These are not architectural mistakes. They are symbolic choices meant to evoke a sense of repetitive disorientation, much like the inner struggle of someone trying to let go of ego and outdated beliefs. According to the philosophies of secret societies, in order to access true knowledge, one must shed all assumptions and illusions. Some tunnels even do not appear on official maps or only become visible when light strikes at a precise angle, as if testing whether the traveler possesses a third eye to see what is hidden. These details show that the tunnel system is not merely a feat of engineering, it is an architectural language of symbolism, one that only the initiated may fully decode. The tunnel system at Quinta de Regaleira does not exist in isolation, but is cleverly connected to the surface structures such as the main residence watchtowers, gardens, chapels, and even man-made caves. This integration creates a layered system between the visible material world and the invisible spiritual realm, where every step holds symbolic meaning. When visitors leave the sunlit gardens and descend into the dark tunnels, only to return again to the light above, they're not simply moving through physical space, but undertaking a journey from the depths of the subconscious back toward enlightenment. Many symbolism scholars believe that Quinta de Regaleira is a modern embodiment of Solomon's Temple, a central symbol in Masonic tradition, where layers of meaning, knowledge, soul, cosmos, and virtue intersect. It is precisely this interplay of light and shadow, architecture and mysticism that turns this place into a living metaphor for the initiatory path of the human soul. We know that the estate's owner, Mohenjo-daro, was not just a wealthy noble, but a man deeply versed in symbolic language, mysticism, ancient Western philosophy, and a member of multiple secret societies of his time. It would be irrational to assume that he spent vast fortunes building an underground network merely for decoration. Clearly, Quinta de Regaleira was crafted as a ritual stage, a spiritual engine, where each individual must walk and discover meaning for themselves. Even today, with modern surveying tools, parts of the underground system remain undiscovered or sealed. Hidden doors, rooms without exits. It's as if the entire complex still guards secrets time has yet to uncover. On the sun-kissed island of Crete, nestled among rolling hills and ancient olive groves, stands one of the most legendary ancient structures ever unearthed by humankind, the Palace of Knossos. Regarded as the political, religious, and economic heart of the Minoan civilization, one of Europe's earliest and most mysterious cultures, Knossos continues to amaze archaeologists, not only for its architectural complexity and technical sophistication, but also for its enigmatic fate. Why did such a radiant center collapse so suddenly and mysteriously? That question has remained unanswered for more than a century. What do you think really caused the fall of the Palace of Knossos? Was it a massive natural disaster, a violent invasion, or something hidden within their own society? Share your theories in the comments below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. The Palace of Knossos is believed to have reached its peak around 1700 BCE and continued to exist for many centuries afterwards. With more than 1,300 rooms connected by countless corridors, staircases, and courtyards, the structure resembled a massive labyrinth. But what stands out is that it had no defensive walls. This raises a compelling question. Did the Minoans live in an unusually peaceful society, or did they possess a level of power so strong that they saw no need for protection? The palace's systems for water supply, drainage, ventilation, and natural lighting reveal a level of engineering far ahead of the Bronze Age. Yet behind this splendor lies a sudden and mysterious end. The fall of Knossos and of the entire Minoan civilization appears not to have been gradual, but rather the result of a powerful, violent event with no clear warning signs. One of the most prominent and widely debated theories regarding the collapse of the Palace of Knossos involves a natural disaster, specifically the catastrophic eruption of the Thera volcano, present-day Santorini, around 1600 BCE. This event is considered one of the largest volcanic eruptions in human history, with an estimated destructive force equivalent to hundreds of modern atomic bombs. The immense cloud of ash released into the atmosphere spread across the eastern Mediterranean, altering the climate, blocking sunlight, causing prolonged crop failures, and severely disrupting the agricultural and trade systems that were the lifeblood of the Minoan economy. Beyond the eruption itself, many researchers believe that massive tsunamis generated by the blast struck the northern coast of Crete, where Knossos is located. These waves may have completely destroyed the coastal ports, swept away ships, and abruptly severed regional supply chains. The population could have descended into chaos and disorder. However, what complicates this theory is the fact that Knossos was not completely buried in volcanic ash, unlike settlements located closer to the eruption's epicenter. This discrepancy has led some scholars to argue that the natural disaster may have been only the initial trigger, while the true cause of Knossos' downfall might have come from another force, possibly human. Another significant theory that seeks to explain the fall of Knossos involves human factors, specifically an invasion by the Mycenaean civilization from mainland Greece. Around 1450 BCE, archaeological evidence points to a sudden shift in power at Knossos. Clay tablets written in Linear B script, the writing system used by the Mycenaeans, began to fully replace the native Linear A script of the Minoans. This suggests a dramatic transformation in the administrative system and control of knowledge. Many storage areas were found burned, religious symbols were altered, and administrative buildings showed signs of reorganization, all indicating a takeover from outside rather than a mere internal transition. Some historians argue that after Knossos was weakened by natural disasters or internal instability, the Mycenaeans seized the opportunity to invade, dismantling the old order and establishing new authority. Interestingly, the palace continued to be used for some time afterward, suggesting the possibility of a period of forced coexistence between the native Minoan population and the newly dominant ruling class. Although there are no clear signs of a major battle, the sweeping changes in language symbolism and administrative structure point to a silent yet effective conquest. Another theory, though not as widely sensationalized as natural disasters or foreign invasions, is considered credible by many modern scholars. Knossos may have collapsed from within its own society. The palace featured an extremely complex organizational system, connecting thousands of rooms, corridors, and storerooms, yet lacked any defensive walls. This could be seen either as a sign of overconfidence or a critical vulnerability when internal crises arose. Factors such as prolonged famine, disease, outbreaks, class conflicts, religious upheaval, or growing resentment among the nobility and commoners could have quietly eroded the Minoan social structure from the inside. Archaeological evidence also suggests that the Minoans may have practiced extreme religious rituals, possibly even involving human sacrifice. In a society where religion and royal authority were deeply intertwined, if public faith began to falter or essential resources grew scarce, social discontent could easily erupt into large-scale crisis. Without any need for external intervention, Knossos may have unraveled on its own, brought down by long-simmering internal tensions and the arrogance of a ruling class, blind to its fragility. One of the strangest aspects of Knossos' demise is how it disappeared not with a bang, but like a faint whisper. There are no traces of a great battle, no evidence of mass graves, or signs of large-scale slaughter. The structure's still stand storerooms remain intact, and many frescoes have retained their colors. This eerie silence has led many researchers to ask, was this truly a collapse, or rather a quiet, bloodless transfer of power? Perhaps the Minoan civilization was not violently destroyed, but simply faded away, gradually absorbed into emerging powers like a cultural ghost, slowly erased by time. In fact, ancient Greek myths of the Minotaur, the Labyrinth, and King Minos may be blurry memories of Knossos surviving in a form that is half myth, half history. Today, when visitors walk through the ruins of Knossos, they see not just stones, corridors, and the iconic red columns rebuilt by archaeologists, but also feel the weight of unresolved questions. What really destroyed one of the most advanced civilizations of the Bronze Age? Was it nature war, or the failures of the human system itself? Perhaps, like the labyrinth it once inspired, the mystery of Knossos' fall will remain an inescapable maze, challenging modern archaeology for generations to come. In the journey to uncover ancient civilizations that once flourished and then vanished, the name Mohenjo-daro stands out as a challenge to modern understanding. Located in the Sindh region of present-day Pakistan, Mohenjo-daro was once a major center of the Indus Valley civilization constructed over 4,000 years ago, around 2500 BCE. Although it was discovered in the early 20th century, this ancient city still holds countless unsolved mysteries. Among the most astonishing is the city's highly sophisticated construction techniques, far surpassing most civilizations of its time. Could an ancient society really have mastered urban planning, water engineering, and standardized construction, all without kings, blueprints, or modern tools? Share your thoughts and theories in the comments below. What makes Mohenjo-daro truly remarkable is its deliberate and systematic urban planning from the very beginning, rather than the organic random development seen in many ancient settlements. The main streets were laid out perpendicularly, forming a precise grid system, much like that of modern cities. This layout not only reflects a strong sense of spatial organization, but also reveals meticulous planning in every construction detail. Notably, the residential buildings throughout the city were made from standardized fired bricks, almost as if they were mass-produced. These bricks were uniformly fired and carefully stacked, strong enough to support structures of 2 to 3 stories, a feat that far exceeded the typical engineering capabilities of a society that lived more than 4,000 years ago. One of the clearest pieces of evidence showcasing the advanced engineering of Mohenjo-daro is the use of standardized fired bricks with a consistent 4 to 2 to 1 ratio length-width-height across most of its structures. This was not the result of casual building habits, but rather proof of an early system of measurement and standardization, something extremely rare among civilizations of that era. The consistent use of this ratio throughout the city indicates that brick production was organized in an industrialized manner, not left to randomness. Moreover, the bricks were uniformly fired at high temperatures, suggesting that ancient craftsmen had mastered heat control and material processing, a level of precision that many later civilizations could not achieve. A striking testament to this is that many walls have remained standing for over 4,000 years, while numerous modern buildings collapse within just a few decades. One of the most astonishing, yet often overlooked engineering marvels of Mohenjo-daro is its underground drainage system, a forgotten structure that truly deserves recognition as an ancient wonder. More than just a place to live, Mohenjo-daro was designed as a self-contained and intelligent system in which every house was connected to an underground sewage network running beneath the streets. This system was constructed using covered bricks to ensure sanitation and prevent the spread of waste, a level of urban planning that even many modern cities still strive to achieve. Remarkably, this network also included settling and filtration tanks that helped regulate water flow, prevent blockages, and reduce flooding during the rainy season. This demonstrates that the builders of Mohenjo-daro didn't just know how to construct homes. They possessed a sophisticated understanding of environmental management far beyond what modern science believed possible for that era. In addition to its impressive drainage system, Mohenjo-daro astonished archaeologists with its highly efficient, clean water supply network. In many residential areas, researchers discovered deep wells lined with circular bricks distributed throughout neighborhoods, suggesting that water sources were deliberately planned to serve entire communities. There is even evidence that some structures featured mechanisms to raise water to upper floors, allowing residents to access clean water without traveling far. This points to a clear technical mindset based not only on manual labor, but on modern principles of construction and engineering logic. As a result, many scholars believe this may be the earliest known domestic water supply network in the world. One of the most iconic and mysterious structures in Mohenjo-daro is the Great Bath, a large water tank located at the center of the city, measuring approximately 12 meters long, 7 meters wide, and nearly 2.5 meters deep. The entire basin was lined with waterproof bricks, sealed with layers of natural bitumen to prevent leakage, a highly sophisticated water management technique for the ancient world. The floor of the bath was gently sloped to allow efficient drainage, showing that its builders had a solid understanding of water pressure and long-term structural durability. Many scholars believe this bath was not meant for ordinary bathing, but served religious or spiritual purification rituals, reflecting a society in which engineering skills were applied not only for daily life, but also for sacred and ceremonial purposes. What makes Mohenjo-daro even more puzzling is the lack of temples, royal palaces, or clear symbols of authority, yet the entire city functioned with remarkable order. This has led to the intriguing theory: was this the first self-governed society in history where engineering and community took precedence over political power? If so, Mohenjo-daro was not only ahead of its time in construction, but also in social organization and governance. One of the most surprising discoveries at Mohenjo-daro is the evidence of multi-story residential architecture, something rarely seen in ancient civilizations. Many structures are believed to have had 2 to 3 floors, with load-bearing walls and sturdy horizontal beams, suggesting that the inhabitants understood how to distribute weight and build vertically. This stands in stark contrast to most ancient societies, which typically lived in single-story dwellings. Additionally, surviving remnants, such as staircases, railings, and balconies, prove that they didn't just build to inhabit, but had a 3-dimensional architectural mindset, carefully considering space function and structural design as a whole. This capability shows they possessed architectural knowledge far ahead of their time, rooted not merely in tradition or experience, but in a truly systematic and technical way of thinking. Not only did the builders of Mohenjo-daro use fired bricks, but their structures also reveal a variety of other construction materials, such as binding mortar, specialized clay, and natural adhesives. The joints between bricks were almost perfectly sealed, leaving virtually no visible gaps, a sign of extremely skilled craftsmanship or the use of advanced tools. In addition, traces of roof tiles, drainage spouts, and anti-erosion foundations have been discovered, technical details that wouldn't appear in many other civilizations until centuries later. This further confirms that Mohenjo-daro was not only advanced, but driven by a mindset of long-term sustainable engineering, far ahead of its time. One of the biggest questions surrounding Mohenjo-daro is, how did they do it? There's no evidence that the people of this city used iron tools, mechanical wheels, or any kind of machinery to aid construction. So how were they able to measure with such precision and build structures that were solid, symmetrical, and systematically organized? Who designed the layout of the entire city? And more importantly, where did this technical knowledge come from? Some scholars believe they possessed a much higher level of mathematical and engineering understanding than previously assumed, and may have even used primitive astronomical instruments to align buildings and plan the city's layout. If this is true, then Mohenjo-daro stands as proof that history may have seriously underestimated the intelligence of ancient civilizations. Though recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site since 1980, Mohenjo-daro is slowly being eroded by groundwater salt damage and lack of proper conservation. Without urgent action, one of humanity's oldest and most refined engineering feats may disappear forever. North of Rome, less than 50 kilometers from Italy's capital, lies a completely different world, quiet, ancient, and filled with countless mysteries. This is not a modern city, but a city of the dead, a vast necropolis known as Banditaccia, near the town of Cerveteri. The people who once lived in this area more than 2 millennia ago were not Romans. They belonged to a civilization that has nearly been forgotten, the Etruscans. The Banditaccia necropolis is not simply a random collection of ancient tombs. It is a highly organized system, resembling a true city with street squares and residential areas for the deceased. In a way, the Etruscans did not just build a cemetery, they recreated their entire worldview of life after death. The tombs here were not just resting places, but continuations of life in the afterworld, where the dead continued to live as they did among the living. And from what they left behind, one big question still haunts archaeologists. Who were the Etruscans really? What do you think? Were the Etruscans a lost native people, mysterious migrants, or something entirely different? Drop your theories in the comments below. With more than 6,000 tombs spread across 400 hectares, Banditaccia is one of the largest necropolises of the ancient world. But its significance lies not just in its size, but in its architecture. The tombs were designed like houses, with corridors, vaulted ceilings, bedrooms, household items, and even statues of pets. The famous Tomba dei Rilievi is a prime example. Inside, carved reliefs depict weapons, bedding, pillows, chairs, as if the deceased were only taking a break from earthly life. These details reveal a deep belief in the afterlife, where people not only existed, but continued to live, fight, love, and rest. This belief inspired the Etruscans to build tombs that mirrored real homes and to organize the necropolis like a replica of the living city. In a way, Banditaccia allows us to step into the mindset of the Etruscans through their stones, their architecture, and what they chose to leave behind. Over the span of more than 7 centuries, from the 9th century to the 3rd century BCE, the necropolis of Banditaccia was continuously used as the final resting place of the Etruscans. During this long period, burial practices and tomb architecture underwent significant transformations, from simple pit graves in the early days to massive domed tumuli, and eventually to intricately constructed, beehive-shaped chamber tombs. Each stage not only reflected advancements in construction techniques, but also revealed evolving beliefs, social structures, and cultural exchanges influenced by the Greeks, the Carthaginians, and later the Romans. However, the deeper archaeologists dig into the ancient burial layers, the more they encounter a vast void. We still don't truly know where the Etruscans came from. Although the Etruscans left behind thousands of tombs, hundreds of artworks, and even their own distinct writing system, their true identity remains one of the greatest mysteries that modern science has yet to unravel. They were neither Greek nor Roman. So who were they, and where did they come from? One theory suggests that the Etruscans were native to the Italian peninsula, evolving from the Villanovan culture of the Iron Age, which had long been established in regions like Latium and Tuscany. This viewpoint is supported by continuous archaeological layers, indicating a slow and internal cultural development over centuries. However, the Greek historian Herodotus claimed that the Etruscans actually came from the east, possibly from the Anatolian region, modern-day Turkey, where they fled famine and sailed across the sea to settle in Italy. There is also a lesser-known yet haunting theory that the Etruscans were a completely independent civilization, one that appeared suddenly as if from nowhere and vanished without leaving clear descendants. Clues found at Banditaccia, from strange symbols, unique burial rituals, to distinct social structures, reveal a culture that doesn't neatly fit into any known historical framework. It is this very uniqueness that makes the Etruscans even more enigmatic. They are part of history, yet do not seem to belong to any historical tradition we recognize. One of the greatest obstacles in studying the Etruscans is their language, a writing system that remains only partially deciphered to this day. Although archaeologists have uncovered hundreds of inscriptions, tomb texts, and carved symbols, many of them at Banditaccia, the vast majority of their content remains a mystery. It is known that the Etruscan alphabet was developed from the early Greek script, yet its grammar and vocabulary are unlike any Indo-European language. This means we possess countless lines of ancient writing, yet we cannot read them. It's like holding a diary from the past without the key to unlock it. And at Banditaccia, the ancient tombs seem to be whispering in a language that modern civilization is still completely powerless to understand. By the 3rd century BCE, the Etruscans had almost completely vanished from the course of history without leaving behind any clear farewell. There was no great war, no large-scale massacre, and no recorded natural disaster. They were not destroyed, they simply seemed to fade away quietly like smoke in the wind. Absorbed by the Roman Empire, their language was replaced, their rituals erased, and gradually a once vibrant culture was assimilated to the point of becoming unrecognizable. The Necropolis of Banditaccia, with its many unexcavated tombs, undeciphered carvings, and ancient stone paths, stands as a silent witness to that fading. Though material traces of their civilization still remain scattered across central Italy, the Etruscans themselves have become an unanswered question. A people who once lived vividly, now reduced to the haunting silence of a past we still do not fully understand. For centuries, Banditaccia was forgotten, buried under layers of earth and time. Only in the 19th century did large-scale excavations begin revealing a cultural treasure trove. In the year 2004, UNESCO recognized the Necropolis of Banditaccia alongside Tarquin as a World Heritage Site, a testament to its enduring value. Even now, most of the necropolis remains unexcavated. Perhaps beneath those untouched mounds, greater mysteries still lie hidden. A new text, a sealed tomb, or a lost artifact could one day answer the question, who were the Etruscans really? The Necropolis of Banditaccia is not just a burial site. It's a spiritual map, a reflection of the living world, and above all, a stone book that has never been fully read. Among its thousands of tombs, artifacts, and inscriptions, the Etruscans seem to whisper to us, in a voice humanity still doesn't understand. Who were they? Where did they come from? And what caused them to vanish without a trace? Banditaccia still stands a monument to an unsolved mystery, and perhaps it will be many more years before we finally decode the lost voice of a once glorious civilization. Beneath the sun-scorched hills of ancient Greece lies a monument so massive, so flawlessly engineered, that even today's architects struggle to explain it. Known as the Tomb of Agamemnon, or the Treasury of Atreus, this Bronze Age colossus was built over 3,000 years ago, yet still stands unshaken without a drop of cement or a single steel bar. Its perfectly interlocked stones, some weighing dozens of tons, form a vaulted chamber that was for more than 15 centuries the largest dome on Earth. Who built it? How did they lift these stones? And why does this monumental tomb remain empty, without a body, without a name, only a haunting presence that dares us to unlock its secrets? Could ancient engineers have known something we've forgotten? Let us know your theory in the comments. Was it brilliance, lost knowledge, or something else entirely? The name Tomb of Agamemnon originated from the belief of 19th century archaeologist Heinrich Schliemann, who labeled the site with this mythic Greek title. Agamemnon, the king of Mycenae, in Homer's Iliad, was said to be the commander of the Greek forces in the Trojan War. However, modern research suggests the tomb may have been built as much as 3 centuries before the legendary time of Agamemnon. Despite the ambiguity of its true occupant, the name has remained, serving more as a symbolic marker than an accurate historical attribution. One of the most remarkable and awe-inspiring features of the Tomb of Agamemnon is its beehive-shaped dome, an architectural feat that still stuns modern engineers. This structure belongs to the category of tholos tombs, a distinctive form of Mycenaean burial architecture. The massive dome is made from hundreds of precisely carved stone blocks, arranged meticulously without using any mortar or binding agents. The dome measures nearly 15 meters in diameter and rises over 13 meters high, a staggering achievement for a structure built more than 3,000 years ago. For over 1.5 millennia after its completion, around 1250 BCE, it remained the largest dome ever built by human hands until the construction of the Pantheon in Rome. Each block was cut with astonishing accuracy and placed in concentric circles, gradually narrowing toward the apex. This arrangement allowed for perfect weight distribution, enabling the entire structure to withstand the forces of nature, earthquakes, and time itself. Even more astonishing is the fact that the dome requires no central support column, something that would seem impossible without a deep understanding of force balance and load-bearing mechanics. This is more than just architecture. It is timeless engineering carved in stone. Not only the dome, but the main entrance of the Tomb of Agamemnon, known as the Dromos, is also a masterpiece shrouded in mystery. This passage is approximately 36 meters long, flanked by towering stone walls over 5 meters high, leading to a massive triangular entrance. Above the doorway lies a monolithic lintel, an enormous single block of stone, estimated to weigh tens of tons, placed with stunning precision to lock the roof structure of the entrance in place. This raises a major question. How did the Mycenaeans manage to lift and position such a heavy block without pulleys, cranes, or reinforced scaffolding? The most common theory suggests that they used earthen ramps, wooden rollers, and manual labor to gradually slide the stone into place. However, no archaeological evidence has ever confirmed that such a method was actually applied at this scale. What truly baffles researchers is not just the weight of the block, but the incredible precision with which it was set into the exact central load-bearing position. Any misalignment during placement could have caused the entire entrance to collapse. For this reason, many believe this might represent a level of engineering far beyond what we currently understand. One of the most astonishing aspects of the tomb of Agamemnon is that it was built entirely using dry stone masonry, meaning no mortar or binding materials were used at all. Each stone block was carefully carved and polished with such precision that the joints are almost invisible. In some places, they're said to be so tight that not even a knife blade can slip between them. This technique is often thought to have emerged in later civilizations. Yet here, it was executed to perfection 3,000 years ago. The massive dome and surrounding walls have not only remained standing, but have also withstood the forces of time, earthquakes, and harsh weather conditions for over 3 millennia. This proves that the Mycenaeans didn't build by instinct or trial and error. They clearly possessed a remarkable understanding of physics and structural mechanics far beyond what we typically attribute to the Bronze Age. This wasn't just craftsmanship, it was a display of precise, refined, and deeply calculated engineering knowledge. One often overlooked but fascinating aspect of the tomb of Agamemnon is the mysterious acoustics within its vaulted chamber. Some researchers believe the structure may have been intentionally designed to produce special acoustic effects. When footsteps echo or voices are spoken, inside the sound resonates eerily and travels far much like the acoustics in modern prayer halls or theaters. If this theory holds true, then the Mycenaeans were not only master builders, but may have also possessed an intuitive or perhaps even experimental understanding of how sound interacts with enclosed spaces. This could have been intended to enhance the spiritual atmosphere during religious rituals or to evoke a sacred supernatural feeling for anyone entering the tomb. It stands as a sign of the Mycenaeans' timeless sophistication in architectural thinking. One of the greatest mysteries surrounding the tomb of Agamemnon doesn't lie in what was found inside, but in what's completely missing. No blueprints, no construction tools, and no written records from the Mycenaean civilization have ever been uncovered to explain how such a monument was built. The only thing that remains is the tomb itself, a silent stone structure that holds countless unanswered questions. How could they achieve such precision during the Bronze Age? Perhaps they possessed a secret oral tradition, passing down advanced construction techniques through generations of master builders. Some even suggest that this knowledge could be the remnants of an older, forgotten civilization lost to official history. And maybe the most haunting part isn't the absence of bones or treasure, but rather the undeniable presence of an engineering mastery far ahead of its time, one that has stood quietly for 3 millennia, as if whispering a message we still don't understand. The tomb of Agamemnon is more than an archaeological site. It is an open question about the intelligence and capability of prehistoric humans. From the precise carving and moving of stones to their understanding of structural physics, every element defies our conventional assumptions about what people were capable of over 3,000 years ago. While today's builders rely on algorithms, reinforced concrete, and heavy machinery, the Mycenaeans had nothing but stone-bare hands and creativity. Yet what they left behind was a tomb with no body, but with a message that endures. Perhaps we have only begun to understand them. In the arid plains of Khuzestan, Iran, where cracked earth and dunes stretch beneath a searing sun, stands a structure that remains silently defiant, like an eternal shadow of the past. Not as grand as the pyramids of Giza, nor as mythic as the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, yet Chogha Zanbil offers perhaps the clearest testament to a level of engineering mastery dating back more than 3 millennia, a marvel that still leaves modern engineers astonished. Chogha Zanbil is not merely a temple, it is a massive ziggurat built by the Elamites, a once great civilization that has since faded into obscurity. What makes this site remarkable is not only its scale, but how it was constructed. Each brick, each layer of earth, each inscribed line bears secrets that modern science continues to wrestle with. Could a civilization from over 3,000 years ago really have mastered such advanced construction techniques without modern tools, without machines, and without leaving behind detailed records? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Do you believe this was pure human ingenuity, or is there something we're still missing from history? One of the most striking aspects of Chogha Zanbil is the sheer volume of materials used. Over 1 million bricks were required to build the entire structure. Even more astonishing is that many of these bricks are inscribed with Elamite cuneiform, clearly bearing the name of King Untashnapirisha, the ruler who commissioned the temple. These inscriptions were not merely royal symbols. They likely served as meticulous records of brick batches, each handcrafted according to strict standards. When modern archaeologists analyzed the bricks, they discovered that the thickness, clay composition, compressive strength, and durability after firing were remarkably uniform, a level of consistency difficult to achieve without an organized, large-scale production system. Considering this was accomplished more than 3,000 years ago, it suggests that the Elamites were not only skilled builders, but also possessed an advanced logistical and technological infrastructure capable of producing millions of standardized bricks to construct a monument that still stands today. One of the most refined features of Chogha Zanbil lies in the glazed bricks found on parts of the outer walls and drainage channels. These bricks, coated in shades of brown, pale yellow, or greenish hues, not only gave the structure a polished appearance, but also served a critical waterproofing function, especially important in a semi-arid climate where rain is rare but can cause severe erosion if unmanaged. Modern chemical analyses confirm that this glaze was no accident. It was the result of a high-temperature firing process exceeding 1,000 degrees Celsius, requiring exceptionally precise heat control. What's truly astonishing is that no evidence of any large fixed kilns has ever been discovered at the site. So how did the Elamites achieve such consistent and durable glaze quality? Could they have possessed some form of mobile kiln technology or a sophisticated temporary firing system that remains undiscovered? The mystery of these glazed bricks continues to challenge the limits of our modern understanding. One feature that has truly astonished modern researchers is the fact that the brick walls of Chogha Zanbil have remained remarkably intact for over 3,000 years, with virtually no major cracking. Upon closer inspection, they discovered that tiny gaps were deliberately placed between the layers of bricks, allowing the structure to breathe, to expand, and contract naturally with changes in environmental temperature. This clever design prevented thermal stress from causing cracks and also minimized moisture buildup, which often leads to mold and decay in ancient structures. Today's engineers refer to this as a living design, a highly modern concept, yet it appeared in a structure built around 1,200 years before the Common Era. It reveals that the Elamites didn't just build to last, they built with a deep understanding of environment, climate, and the passage of time. Beneath the seemingly simple exterior of Chogha Zanbil lies an extraordinarily sophisticated drainage and flood control system, far surpassing expectations for a structure over 3 millennia old. Archaeologists have discovered that surrounding the ziggurat's foundation is a network of water channels, underground trenches, and collection basins, all working together like a hydraulic regulation system to disperse and manage seasonal rainfall. Building the temple on an elevated platform was not only symbolic, it was also a deliberate strategy to prevent flooding and soil erosion, preserving the foundation from subsidence. Although no ancient texts mention the role of hydraulic engineers in Elamite society, the surviving evidence suggests that they possessed a deep understanding of hydrology and geology. Thanks to this system, the monument has stood firm through thousands of years of harsh weather. Beneath the outer brick layers of Chogha Zanbil lies a dense core system constructed in a zigzag pattern with interwoven structural layouts, a feature that researchers only discovered through ground-penetrating radar and stratigraphic imaging. These cores were not decorative or randomly filled spaces. They were deliberately engineered to evenly distribute vertical weight, allowing the structure to bear heavy loads without concentrated stress points. The triangular and crosshatch brick arrangements have been compared to a primitive form of reinforced concrete, centuries ahead of contemporary construction techniques. As a result, the ziggurat not only withstood mild seismic tremors, but also resisted ground subsidence effectively, a common issue in the swampy plains of Khuzestan. This is compelling evidence that the Elamites calculated structural durability with an engineer's precision. A persistent question remains: who built this colossal structure? With over 1 million bricks, countless tons of materials, and meticulous quality control, Chogha Zanbil could not have been the result of a small village workforce. Archaeologists believe that thousands of artisans, engineers, haulers, brickmakers, and scribes must have been organized in a system resembling a massive ancient production complex. Surprisingly, no records mention forced labor, and archaeological signs suggest the structure was built in peace as a sacred offering to the gods, not as a show of military might. What makes Chogha Zanbil so controversial is not just its grandeur, but the fact that it was built by a civilization not considered a pinnacle of the ancient world. Yet it displays engineering prowess that rivals that of Babylon and ancient Egypt. We still do not fully understand how they fired glazed bricks with such precision, or how they achieved such enduring structural resilience in a monument standing over 25 meters tall for more than 3 millennia. Did the Elamites possess an advanced technological system, one lost through war or cultural collapse, or had they inherited ancient knowledge that we today no longer remember? Chogha Zanbil is more than a temple. It is a time capsule, a living artifact that proves ancient humans were far more ingenious than we often believe. And each of its bricks still rests in silence, posing a timeless challenge to the modern world that some mysteries are not solved with machines, but with humility and a relentless will to uncover the truth. Rising from the sun-scorched plains of ancient Mesopotamia is a monument so massive, so precise, and so enduring it seems almost impossible for its time. The great Ziggurat of Ur, built over 4,000 years ago, still stands today as a defiant relic of a forgotten genius. It wasn't carved into a mountain or shaped by nature, it was engineered layer by layer by human hands, using nothing but mud fire and bitumen. No cranes, no steel, no electricity. And yet, it has survived earthquakes, storms, wars, and time itself. The mystery isn't just how tall it once stood or how old it is. The real question, the one that still haunts archaeologists, is simple. How did they build it? Do you believe ancient civilizations had access to advanced engineering knowledge that disappeared without a trace? Share your thoughts in the comments below. The Ziggurat of Ur was built around the 21st century BCE during the reign of Ur-Nammu, the founding king of the third dynasty of Ur. With a base measuring approximately 64 meters long and 46 meters wide, and an original height estimated to be nearly 30 meters, this monument was not merely a man-made hill. It was the spiritual heart of the city, a place where people believed they could connect with the gods through rituals performed atop its summit. Its design consisted of multiple ascending levels, each tier narrowing like a stairway to heaven. This step-like structure is characteristic of a ziggurat, distinctly different from the smooth-sloped pyramids of Egypt. But what truly sets the Ziggurat of Ur apart is its astonishing durability and resilience to time, harsh climate warfare, and natural disasters, leading to the burning question: how did the Sumerians build it? The Sumerians had no steel, no machines, and certainly no cranes or reinforced concrete like we have today. Yet they managed to construct a monument that has lasted for over 4,000 years, using just two seemingly simple materials: mud bricks and fired bricks. The inner core was made entirely of mud bricks, a material prone to cracking when exposed to water or extreme climate changes. But the key lay in the outer shell, fired bricks cut and fitted with remarkable precision, bonded together with a type of natural bitumen mortar, known for its water resistance and heat endurance. This outer layer acted like an armor that protected the vulnerable inner core, allowing the structure to withstand rain floods and erosion for many centuries. The pressing question is, how did they achieve such incredible precision using only rudimentary tools? Was it merely accumulated construction experience, or did they possess some kind of technical knowledge that has been lost to time? One of the greatest questions surrounding the Ziggurat of Ur doesn't lie in its design or religious symbolism, but in the construction process itself specifically. How did they transport and stack over 1 million heavy bricks onto a structure rising nearly 30 meters high without trucks, pulleys, or cranes? While mud bricks could be made on site, fired bricks had to be baked at high temperatures, then manually carried to higher levels. Some scholars suggest the Sumerians may have used earthen ramps or primitive pulley systems. However, to this day, no archaeological evidence has confirmed these theories at Ur. On the contrary, the structure shows signs of advanced calculations in weight distribution, load-bearing efficiency, structural stability, and material durability principles that modern engineering only formalized thousands of years later. This leads to a bold hypothesis. Did they possess mechanical or logistical knowledge that has since been lost to history? One often overlooked but critically important feature of the Ziggurat of Ur's structure is its hidden drainage and reinforcement system. Although primarily built with mud bricks, a material prone to water absorption and rapid degradation, the monument has endured for thousands of years, largely thanks to drainage channels running along the steps and a subsurface water management system carefully designed within the structure. These elements helped prevent erosion, water infiltration, and subsidence, all natural enemies of mud-based architecture. Additionally, the builders used interwoven layers of flexible materials, allowing the structure to breathe with seasonal changes in temperature and humidity, thereby reducing the risk of cracking. Some modern experts suggest that the Sumerians may have tested small-scale prototypes before constructing the full monument, or perhaps they inherited a form of ancient engineering knowledge now lost to recorded history. One of the lesser-known yet astonishing details about the Ziggurat of Ur is that its sides are almost perfectly aligned with the 4 cardinal directions east, west, south, and north. Such precision is unlikely to be a coincidence, especially considering that the structure was dedicated to Nana, the Sumerian moon god. This alignment suggests that the builders had a sophisticated understanding of the positions of the sun and moon and used celestial movements to orient the structure. But if that's true, an even bigger question arises: how did they measure directions with such accuracy in an era without compasses or astronomical charts? To accomplish this, they would have needed advanced surveying tools or astronomical orientation techniques that remain unknown to us today. If this hypothesis holds, it would mean that Sumerian knowledge of astronomy and measurement was far more advanced than modern history has long assumed. In the 1980s, under Saddam Hussein's regime, a portion of the Ziggurat of Ur was restored as part of a national pride campaign. However, instead of relying entirely on archaeological data, the restoration process used modern concrete, leading to heavy criticism from Western scholars. They argued that introducing modern materials and techniques into such an ancient structure obscures its original value and could even distort future archaeological interpretations. A critical question gradually emerged: which parts of the ziggurat are original and which are reconstructed? As modern technology interferes more deeply, the line between preserving heritage and altering history becomes increasingly blurred. If restoration is not approached carefully, it may cause future generations to misunderstand the true capabilities of ancient civilizations. Today, the Ziggurat of Ur remains one of the most visited ancient sites in Iraq, although the temple atop the structure no longer survives the terraced design. The grand staircase, the enduring outer brickwork, and the solid foundations still leave visitors in awe. And yet the greatest mystery has yet to be solved. How exactly did the Sumerians build this monument? Did they possess tools, techniques, or knowledge that has since been lost to time? Or was it simply the result of immense labor, sheer willpower, and unwavering belief? Hidden deep within the southwestern highlands of Guatemala, amidst dense forested hills and rushing streams, lies a mysterious archaeological site known as Takalik-Abaj. This place is not just a typical ruin. It is a vital, perhaps even essential missing piece in the complex historical puzzle of ancient Mesoamerica. What makes Takalik-Abaj especially intriguing is that it does not fully belong to the Maya, nor is it purely Olmec. Instead, it exists as a mystical intersection, blending architectural, religious, and artistic elements from both great cultures while also exhibiting unique traits unseen anywhere else. But what puzzles researchers the most is not the finely carved stones or the ancient pyramids. It is the question, who built this city? And why did such a brilliant center fade into obscurity? Could Takalik-Abaj have been founded by a completely unknown civilization, one that vanished before history could remember its name? Or was it a sacred meeting point between giants like the Olmec and the Maya? Share your theory in the comments below. We'd love to hear what you believe happened to this mysterious city, lost in time. When archaeologists first dated Takalik-Abaj, they were astonished the site had been inhabited since around the 8th century BCE, meaning it dates back over 2,800 years. This is an impressive figure, as it places Takalik-Abaj during the period when the Olmec civilization, often considered the mother culture of Mesoamerica, was at the height of its power along the Gulf Coast of Mexico. For this reason, the most common theory suggests that it was the Olmec who came to this region and built the ancient stone city. However, there is one major contradiction. Takalik-Abaj lies far to the south, completely removed from the traditional Olmec heartland. There is no trace of military occupation, administrative control, or the signature symbols of Olmec power found at the site. So if not the Olmec, then who some scholars have proposed a different, bolder yet plausible theory that Takalik-Abaj was built by a local indigenous group, deeply influenced by Olmec trade, religion, and art, while also gradually absorbing early elements of the emerging Maya culture. This would make Takalik-Abaj a transitional culture, a physical symbol of fusion, not fully Maya, not fully Olmec, but something in between. Yet despite the richness of its architecture and stone monuments, the site has left behind no writing, royal symbols, or names to clearly identify who ruled or founded the city. The name Takalik-Abaj, meaning standing stone, was only later given by the local Mam people. The city's original name and the true identity of its founders remain a completely forgotten mystery. Takalik-Abaj could not have been the product of a primitive nomadic community or a temporary settlement. What remains at the site reveals a meticulously planned urban system with astonishing technical sophistication. The city was constructed with step pyramids, ceremonial plazas, temples, and dozens of large and small altars and stone monuments intentionally arranged throughout the area, demonstrating a deep understanding of ritual architecture and public space organization. Notably, the stone drainage system, built from very early times, includes canals, underground conduits, and stone channels that remain intact to this day, testifying to an advanced level of engineering far ahead of its time. Takalik-Abaj was not just a ceremonial site, it also played the role of an important trade center. Its strategic location between the highlands and the Pacific coast gave it access to valuable goods such as salt, cacao seashells, and minerals, helping to drive vibrant economic exchanges in the region. Furthermore, the city's major structures were aligned with the rising and setting of the sun during key times of the year, reflecting a profound knowledge of astronomy, agriculture, and seasonal cycles. The integration of religion, economy, and science into a unified urban plan shows that Tkalikabarj was once a thriving center of influence, with significant impact on the regional power structure in ancient times. Like many once glorious cities in human history, Tkalikabarj eventually faded into darkness, but what's strange is that it did not fall to sword or fire, nor was it swallowed by natural disaster. Archaeological excavations show that around the 1st century CE, large-scale construction at the site began to cease. Rituals that once took place regularly in ceremonial plazas became increasingly rare. The city center, once a hub of religious and political gathering, was gradually abandoned. Yet unlike many civilizations that leave behind clear evidence of war, plague, or destruction, Tkalikabarj appears to have declined slowly and silently. There are no signs of violent collapse, no fortifications torn down, and no written records explaining why. Some scholars believe the shifting of trade routes may have been the main cause, as larger Maya cities in the north, like Tikal and Calakmul, rose to power. They drew resources, manpower, and political influence toward themselves. This would have caused mid-sized centers like Tkalikabarj to lose their status, with residents possibly migrating away or being absorbed into bigger urban hubs. Another theory points to climate change, especially prolonged droughts or soil exhaustion, which may have crippled the city's agricultural base and forced people to leave. But what haunts many researchers is the possibility that something happened from within a social, religious, or spiritual crisis that we cannot read in the lifeless stones. Tkalikabarj left behind no writing or inscriptions. Yet one strange clue remains: many human-like statues were found smashed or buried face down, as if the ancients had tried to hide something or erase a collective memory. Could this have been the sign of a ritual upheaval, a spiritual revolt, or even the collapse of a belief system that once held the community together? These questions remain unanswered, and perhaps they never will be. But it is precisely this silence, heavy and mysterious, that makes Tkalikabarj so unique and unforgettable. Today, Tkalikabarj does not enjoy the fame of other Maya centers. It has no towering pyramids like Tikal, no sun god masks like Copan. But it stands as a rare bridge between the two greatest civilizations of ancient Central America, a living testament to cultural fusion that no historical map can fully capture. It embodies an intermediate identity, undefined, unclassified, yet deeply meaningful. And precisely because it lacks a clear label or origin, Tkalikabarj remains one of Mesoamerica's greatest unsolved mysteries. Who truly built it? Were they Olmec Maya, or a third people who vanished without a trace? And why did they walk away? These are not just questions for archaeologists, they are a powerful reminder that human history is full of voids, and perhaps we've only just begun to ask the right ones.